Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to our channel. The date is the 16th of August 2026. This is our 247th Tafseer session. The format will be Tafseer, followed by Q&A, and then followed by a Palestine update, which will be uploaded later to Rumble. Just a quick recap over the week. Our Tafseers we consider to be quite unique in the sense that we blend political events, usuli points, as well as standard tafsir and events from before. In keeping with this tone, one current change or one current series of events that are happening is the UAE have become even more manifest in their nifaq and kufr. They have openly endorsed Zionists, and their trolls, their industry level Hasbara, the equivalent of the Zionists, they have their Hasbara, the UAE has their UAE Hasbara, and they are openly pushing the anti-Ikhwan rhetoric as a smokescreen to throw every person with an idea or any inclination towards Islam under the bus. They have been so vehement and so public in it. It's actually quite laughable. There's a phenomenon in the UK which we call the supply teacher. A supply teacher is someone who fills in for the teacher, and because they're only there for a little while, they have to do things which are just to ingratiate themselves to the people without knowing that they're actually quite laughable and lamentable. That's the tact that the UAE have gone with. They look so laughable. You don't actually need to rebuttal them because it's so glaringly obvious, but they still persist. They associate everything with Ikhwan. And they want to advance their own point of view about authoritarianism as being some kind of a standard. And the irony is this: they are pushing this to the West, and the West are transmitting it. Outlets like GB News and the far-right commentators are pushing this thing, something that undermines their own creed, the West's own creed about this facade of freedom. Whereas as Muslims, we have our own concept of accountability. So the same people who lie about the Salaf and not speaking out. For example, we have a recent video that was extracted on from Ustad Abdurrahman Hassan, where he said, even if a ruler rules by all kufr, his entire constitution is kufr, he's still not kafir. And then by extension, it lends itself to not even being able to vocalize dissent. See the connection here. So on the one hand, you've got the UAE, who are pushing Islamophobes and attacking Ikhwan and any Islamist, anyone who has an Islamic understanding when it comes to politics. And then you've got the Madkhali Uthman Khamis nexus, which talks about a rule can rule by all kufr, and he's still a Muslim, and by extension means that you can't even speak out against him. And then you compare it to the actual Khulafa Rashidin. When a man stood up and accounted Umar bin al-Khattab just over how much cloth he was allocated. When a lady stood up to account Umar bin al-Khattab over him wanting to put a limit on dowry. And in both instances, Umar bin al-Khattab being happy with the dissent because he had gone over the remit of a ruler. So if you have someone like that being open to accountability and actually encouraging it, to the extent even narrations which talk about him not being satisfied by people who vocalize that they would straighten him or they'll correct him. He wanted them to strike his neck. He wanted that concept to permeate amongst the ummah. And then at the same time, you've got the UAE camp who are pushing Islamophobes and pushing the same rhetoric. And then you've got the Madkhali camp and the Uthman Khamis camp pushing the same thing. This is the end game. Do you think the UAE cares how many raqah you do? If you do fajr in a masjid, do you think they care if you think Allah has a hand or not? They only care about looting the ummah, colluding with the Zionists. They have a $10 billion contract publicly admitted to on one of their own website. And then you have stooges who even to this day can't say a single word against the UAE. Bought people. If they're not bought, then they're free whores. I'm talking about Uthman bin Farouk and Adnan Rashid and many others. They have been verbose against Iran, and we have criticized Iran endlessly for what they did in Syria. However, for them to be quiet when the ultimate munafiq, the munafiqaratis, as I call them, the ultimate in nifaq, the boss level munafiqeen, and you're not saying a single word, when conspicuously Uthman bin Farouk is silent, saying, oh, I need to see the evidence, when it's obvious, public, attested to on their own web pages, when their own mouthpieces are public with it. And yet he pleads, I know Americans, they have the concept of the Fifth Amendment. He pleads the Fifth when it's glaringly obvious. This is not Islam. UAE Islam is the equivalent of Naz Daily, the Zionist-funded Munafiq. Well, I think he's an agnostic now. Palestinian turncoat. This is the same type of Islam that they're peddling. One which echoes the Hasbara talking points. Ones which completely acquiesce to people of power. And let there be no mistake. If you are silent about the UAE, you are compromised. If you are a coward, shut up. If you are a coward, shut up about every single political issue, but don't be selective. There is nothing more that there is no level of nifaq the UAE hasn't sunk to. If you are silent on them, you are compromised, knowingly or unknowingly. You are compromised, either you are bought. I'm talking about peptides and business interests, or you are dumb and blinded by sectarianism. Either way, you are a liability and you will be exposed. It doesn't matter how many good deeds you do. It doesn't offset exonerating these Tawheed. You know, the UAE has, you know, the dirham has a conversion rate. What is the conversion rate for ignoring genocide? Imagine I wanted to punch someone, kick a baby. I wanted to drop kick a baby. How many good deeds would I have to do to offset their act of drop kicking a baby? I want to ask you, what is your going rate to offset hiding the crimes of the UAE, glossing over the crimes of the UAE, promoting the UAE? What is your going rate? I'm not talking about money. How many people do you think you must convert before you think you're justified? You have the pass. You guys used to obsess about Aqidah. And the most minuscule detail about how far your trousers are above your ankle. Now you've gone quiet? That minutiae wasn't sufficient for you? You've now gone quiet when the nifaq is so clear and manifest? If you don't know, I'll give you a list of names of people who have been peddling their nonsense. Conspicuously, Faris is quiet about it. To the extent recently, one even put the highest level of sovereignty is to the ruler, is to the nation. Open, clear shirk. We're not talking about the shirk you talk about graves. This is open, clear, doesn't get much more shirk than that. The shirk of shaitan, where he puts his desires above Allah. Where is your Tawheed? Has your Tawheed gone on mute? Do I need to launch your Zoom and unmute you? Anyway, we'll continue with it. We'll start with the tafsir, inshallah. But that had to be said because it has reached a point of travesty, of deadly nifaq. And we can't afford as an ummah to just gloss over it and think, oh, he's such a good person. I don't care how good a person you are. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you give me a kebab every other day. It doesn't matter who you are. It's what you do, and when it counts, what you do. Don't talk about Palestine if you don't call out the nifaq of the UAE, who have the IDS supporting their missile systems, who have invested directly in Elbit. And yes, Uthman bin Farouk, you serial liar, when you said UAE has helped Palestine during the genocide, you omitted they helped those munafiqeen who were there attacking the people distributing the aid. They were lining their own pockets. They were attacking H. This is what you sought to omit. How many profits from peptides did you have to sell to buy your silence, you nefarious hobbit? Anyways, continuing, the date, the 16th of August 2026. We are on a 247th Tafseer Halaqa. We are on Surah Luqman. The ayah we are on is 24. That's the 31st Surah, ayah 24. And I'll recite and the professor will comment.
Surah Luqman, yeah.
Surah Luqman. نمتئهم قليلا ثم نضطرهم إلى عذاب غليظ. We will let them enjoy themselves for a short while, but in the end we shall drive them into suffering severe. First translation. Next translation. Next translation, we will grant them some enjoyment for a while, but then we will force a massive punishment on them.
If you just read the ayah before, so we know about whom that's
ومن كفر فلا يحزنك كفره إلينا مرجئهم فننبئهم بما عملوا إن الله عليم بذات الصدور. So the first translation for the ayah before, which is ayah 23, is, but as for him who is bent on denying the truth, let not his denial grieve thee. Unto us they must return, and together, and then we shall make them truly understand all that they were doing in life. For verily, God has full knowledge of what is in the hearts of men. Next translation, and do not let the denial of those who continue to deny the truth grieve you. In brackets, Prophet, they will return to us and we will tell them everything that they have done. God knows everything that lies within the heart.
Exactly. So this is the main point here is obviously various points, but the main point is that the Prophet used to be grieving about these people, feeling somehow, because he is a limited human being, that maybe this is his failure. But this ignores the fact that the universe has been fashioned this way to be a testing universe. And your authority is limited to remind and bring the evidences. That's all. I mean, your authority to the messenger of God. And by inclusion to the people after rulers or not rulers, campaigner, people in the inside domain, inside the Islamic domain, outside the Islamic domain, you have no authority anybody. Just your message is to broadcast the message and bring the evidences and engage in a nice and good dialogue, except those who transgress and become hostile, using swear words, for example, then you become tougher in your language with them. And those who use the sword, you use the sword against them. That's a principle. So you don't need to grieve. You do your duty. The universe have fashioned this way. If Allah wanted another universe, He would have chosen it, but it's not chosen. This is done in eternity. Forget about it. It's gone, forgotten. Stick to the reality now. Look forward what happened. And those who are now grieving, don't worry about that. They were under complete control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will return back to Him. There's no escape. And He knows what in the deepest depth of their hearts. And He knows how to account for all of these circumstances. So just relax. And the next ayah says, if you see they're enjoying dunya, seem to be superior, seem to be having aircraft carriers, crossing the oceans. Not before that. There's a very little enjoyment. And when they come back to us, those guilty ones, some of them are not guilty, just idiots taken on the board of the aircraft. They don't know what's going on. But some are really criminals. These will be forced into a very tough punishment. So that's not your job. Our job is different than yours. Your job is to bring the message and bring the authority sufficiently to account everyone if the day of account comes. And our is the accountability and the proper punishment meted to everyone according to his level of knowledge, ignorance, intentions, etc. Leave that completely to us. And that's also in Surah Al-Ghashiyah. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر. Remind, you're just a reminder. لست عليهم بمسيطر. You have no power or no authority over them. Just not that you have power. of making hearts change. No, 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 that's not the meaning. This meaning is clear, that's very obvious. But to have no even authority of forcing or beating up or something like that, except, as I said, responding to violence from their side. Otherwise, you are not allowed to use any violence. There have even hadith that people who are even around the Prophet that he was not allowed even to have a stick and beat them up with a stick. Not even that, or point even the stick. But that's another issue content of governance and so on. But all of this is not. Even if you're in a ruling position, you can only administer such punishment within the revealed limitation of the law. That's it. You have no authority whatsoever. The ultimate sovereignty is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the authority of execution is to the Ummah who transfer that to you by bay'ah. Period, full stop. But what's the amount? فذكر نعم فاستعني بوسيطر and so الغاشية إلا من however who turns away and commits kufr, Allah will punish him the supreme and toughest punishment. إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا. Their return is to us, and on us is accounting, not on you. So forget about that. Focus on your job, not to grieve over what they could not achieve or not achieve. That's conditioned by many things in the universe, which some of them have established at the foundation of the world. Nothing can be done about that. Forget about it. Just proceed forward. Next ayah. Yeah, I will read that one after.
Okay.
After فنضطرهم إلى عذاب الغليظ. Next.
ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض لا يقولن الله قل الحمد لله بل أكثرهم لا يعلمون. And thus it is with most people. If thou ask them, who is it that has created the heavens and the earth, they will surely say, God. They would surely answer, God. Say, then, in brackets, you ought to know that all praise is due to God, for most of them do not know what this, in brackets, what this implies.
What this implies, yeah.
Okay. And if you, next translation, and if you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they would say, God. Say, all praise is due to God, but most of them do not understand.
And that's what the Wahhabis does. That they say God, only God alone, but we worship something else. That's how the Wahhabi minds have been twisted by misunderstanding of Ibn Taymiyyah's Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah and so on. This is all nonsense. We have discussed in the book of Tawheed. That they admit that the creator of the universe is Allah does not mean that they admit that everything in the universe is under Allah controls. No, they admit that He created everything, what they call evil, for example, and that's the duality, or that even His creator or the shaitan, but the shaitan rebelled against Him, meaning his power of creation is limited, and the devil can undermine that. All of these theories of evil, quote and unquote, and suffering, quote and unquote, all of them refer back to a deity which creates but does not have the complete control. But this is contradiction. This is impossible. But they don't know these implications, many of them, and many pagans don't know that. They don't imagine this sky and earth. Yeah, essentially this is the creator, maybe the only one. But there are other sub-creators. There are some rebellious entities. His power is limited and so on. That's not Tawheed. That's again shirk, but of another type. But this does not go in the head of the Wahhabi movement and Ibn Taymiyyah, unfortunately. Ibn Taymiyyah understood that a little bit and tried to veer around it, but the Wahhabi just made it sharp and ended in a laugh, and never-ending laughable deductions. And that's the reason we have a book, for example, one of them, most likely to appease government. This paid man is a paid man. He's been from these madkhali, and he has a book called Tawheed أولا ثم الحاكمية. First Tawheed, then divine sovereignty. So what's divine sovereignty? It's not Tawheed. No, it's the result, but it's not the same. Actually, divine sovereignty is the supreme part of Tawheed. That's the crowning of it. If you admit divine sovereignty in the correct sense, as strictly defined by the Quran, and as is told by necessity of reason, then this could be only for the one who created. There is no force in the universe who can confront him, and nothing can happen without his permission. If you admit that, then this is the divine sovereignty. Now, in matter of creation, it will be divine sovereignty then in matter of legislation. Bye-bye. Bye-bye graves and all this nonsense. And sujood is worship or not worship. No. How come that Adam is also sujood? No. This Allah's commands lifted it from being a worship into a non-worship. It's just laughable. Just read the book of Tawheed to see how misreading this will get you into trouble. Quran says clearly, but many do not know what the conclusion of that. Yeah, he's created. Yeah, he's the creator. Yeah. But what is the conclusion of that? Dictated by necessity of reason? They are not aware, or they even reject. They cannot accept that this evil and this suffering is coming from him. We have to find some solution for that. One solution is that he doesn't exist. That's the atheist solution. They think it's a solution. It's not a solution. It doesn't solve anything, nor end the suffering, nor end your pain from the suffering. No, it's not going to end anything. And the other one is that, oh yeah, actually, the devil rebelled against him. Somehow he enacted the universe, and then he detected suddenly that the laws will work against him. And now he is trying to fix things. Anyway, that's all is irrational. That's it. The shirk is the ultimate irrationality. That's it. And the atheism is its cousin, is also irrational. It does not solve anything. It may feel pleasing, but just for a moment, like an injection of crack or morphine. And then 7 minutes, you are back to the same misery before. You need another injection. Carry on.
Okay,
Next slide.
next slide. لله ما في السماوات والأرض إن الله هو الغني الحميد. Unto God belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth. Verily, God alone is self-sufficient, the one to whom all praise is due.
See, that's the conquer from the creation. Not only the creator, some creation can rebel against him. Everything belongs in heaven and earth. So if you see something which you look rebellious against him, that's your misconception. That's because certain design of the universe have been chosen and could be otherwise, and that's chosen because of the divine wisdom. You don't need to details of the wisdom because you will go in search for that. It's sufficiency. God is perfect, is absolute. His choice must be the best one. You understand it, you don't understand it, you don't go into contradiction. That's it. That's what is to be discussed more in details. We discuss bits of ways along the time in Qadar. And so where is the problem people coming from that? What does that imply? So he's the self-sufficient. He does not need anybody. Everything needs him. So nothing can happen without his permission, nor he will get surprised that the universe he shows suddenly tend to have some ugly features for your point of view. No. It's all anticipated and all permitted because of other outbalancing events in his point of view, not in your point of view. The moment you know that, you are safe and you are sound. Next.
Just to do the second translation, whatever in the heavens and the earth belongs to God, for God is the rich beyond need, the praiseworthy.
Absolutely.
ولو أن ما في الأرض من شجرة أقلام والبحر يمده من بعده سبعة أبحار ما نفدت كلمة الله إن الله عزيز حكيم.
ما نفدت كلمات الله والبحر الموعي 7 أبحر.
And if all the trees on earth were pens, and the sea were ink, with 7 more seas yet added to it, the words of God would not be exhausted, for verily God is almighty wise. Next translation. If all the trees on earth were pens, and the sea were ink, with 7 more seas to replenish it, God's words would not be exhausted, for God is revered wise.
Yeah, this is the word here is used as in the Quran. All what he needs, all what his affair, in amru, his affair, when he wants something to say kun fayakun, be and it happens. Obviously, strictly speaking, there's no kun, no addressee. It is just an expression for the will being directed to do something, and the something happens. There's no, because it's not the word addressed in the Quran to someone. There's someone created before that who listened to the word, and because it's a legislative word, a normative word, he is given the power and the free will and the capability of accepting or rejecting. Iman and kufr. That's not talking about legislative words. And these legislative words, we know they are quite limited. They may be filling a volume, 10 volumes, but not something which you need all trees on earth. This metaphor is an allegorical expression. If we assume the impossible, that all trees on earth has been fashioned into pens, in time past pens were taken from trees, right? and all oceans are ink. Obviously, it doesn't address that you have sheets and so on, parchment to write on, but where to get them? Imagine this impossible situation. Even the words and the actions of Allah, and just the words now, you know what it is, the action, the creative action, the creative word will not be exhausted. Never, because the future is open. He creates after creates for eternities, and these eternities never ends. It's 3 eternities, never ending. Not in the past, starting at the absolute beginning of the azal, of the what they call eternity. Actually, future is called the infinity. We should distinguish that in eternity back. That's the beginning, the absolute beginning, and the future. It will never, it cannot exhaust it. It will not exhaust it, because more will come. So there's no way any finite amount of inks or any finite of pens. If we take the words of Allah mentioned, the ayah mentioned, the creative actions, they are infinite, genuinely infinite, never ends. And more one after what come. The future is open. It's not closed. There's no wall. You come to always say, time has ended. There's nothing like that. It's open-ended. And the moment you come to a junction, say, it's the end of time, end of history. You look, there's still infinite more in front. And then if you come to a junction, it is this, no, there's no, there's still infinite more. There's no end. But the beginning, yes, but no end.
Two questions, Sheikh. 2 questions. So, Kalimatullah, is that
It's the command, be creation.
I see.
So creative acts. That's it's just a metaphor for that.
Okay. I always understood it as being knowledge or something, because Allah's
knowledge.
It's
each action is done, is represented by an, because if you don't want to do action, you tell yourself, let me go to the market now. You talk to yourself. From this metaphor, because people cannot understand the meaning, how the will concludes by itself dynamically. Because our will is limited. We have to balance the things. If I go now, I'll have the benefit of so that it's clear weather. But if I delay, the weather forecast say it will rain. What's better? But if I delay, the weather will be, yes, it's rainy, but it will be cooler. I have to balance, because we are conditioned. We are in a circle around us. Allah is not there. It's absolute. So how this concludes is expressed in his affair, his attribute. When he wants something, it happens. But I say, says to it, happen, it happens. That's the only way we can comprehend as finite beings.
Also, the second question, the 7 is Sab'a al-Dhar. Is that linguistically because the number 7 in Arabic is considered to be a considerable amount, or is there any significance to the use of Sab'a?
Oh, no, it's just the usual, several C's, less than 10. But even another C is coming, so it doesn't end. That's it. But starting with one, everyone regard the ocean as unbelievably big. Possibly some people think it's extent for infinity. If even other oceans behind, even 7 other seas behind that, they will be exhausted and still it will not. Meaning the words of Allah are infinite. In the final calculation, there's no final calculation. You can add more and more and more. The future is open. There's no infinity. The infinity vision is genuine infinity, never ending. Not like an infinity in the past that ends with a fundamental start. But this is deep issues related with the nature of time. It has a beginning, but it has no end.
Okay, next ayah.
And this very people in time past were struggling with that. Until now, it's not 100% clear to all philosophers and thinkers.
Okay, next ayah. ما خلقكم ولا بعثكم إلا كنفس واحدة إن الله سميع بصير. For him, the creation of you all and the resurrection of you all is but like, in brackets, the creation and resurrection of a single soul. For verily, God is all-hearing, all-seeing. Next translation. Creating and resurrecting all of you is for God like creating and resurrecting a single soul. God is all-hearing and all-seeing.
That's most likely, yeah. That's how both translation. That's most likely what some people said. Okay, maybe he looks at me and record where I'm going, and so if I die, he can record. But so about these millions and billions of humans, maybe someone behind the horizon, is he looking at them and hearing them and so on, recording where they are? Yes, it's the same. There's no difference between billions and trillions of people and one person. In matter of observation and keep a record of them. There's no difference. It's the same. The same. This obviously exceeds human capability of imagination, but that's it. This is dictated by necessity of reason again. And has to be expressed linguistically. But again, metaphors and examples and allegorical obsession choose things like that, one and multiple things like that. And the same principle. Everyone is under observation, under the divine vision, under divine hearing, and everyone is on record.
Okay. Next slide.
Yeah.
ألم تر أن الله يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري إلى أجل مسمى وأن الله بما تعملون خبير. Art thou not aware that it is God who makes the night grow longer by shortening the day, and makes the day grow longer by shortening the night, and that he has made the sun and the moon subservient to his laws, each running its course for a term set by him, and that God is fully aware of all that you do. Next translation. Do you not see that God causes the night to merge into the day, and causes the day to merge into the night, and has made the sun and the moon subservient to his laws, each running its course for a specified term, and that God is aware of all you do?
Yeah. That's good. The first translation with shortening the day and letting the night grow and vice versa, I seem to be liking that more than the second one. The second one is also the same. Because just mean inserting one in another, they are two different things, but meaning the one goes to the time of the other one in a certain time of the year, and then it leads to other time and so on. So similar meaning and different expression. The one with shortening and lengthening seems to be more fitting what we observe and see. And the Tafseer most likely meaning they made servant for you. Obviously, that's the system established before you even we are created. To had not established this way, maybe life on Earth was not possible. That's a very complex issue, which now most even biologists and atheists are facing and lifting the white flag. Many of them are lifting the white flag. That's no way to start with something completely arbitrary and random and end with this organized system. And that's what they call the fine-tuning argument and so on, which is have its fault, but it can be tuned, but needs really a complex conditions. You don't need all of that. Divine evidence are much simpler than that, much more effective and almost mathematical level precision. So, and say, do you see that? You don't see it. We don't see the appointment to happen. But ultimately, from the structure of the universe, with more knowledge, we know that the sun will expire one day. There's no escape, either by getting colder and colder, it is too small to go by self-explosion, or it may go through a huge cloud in the galaxy, which goes for millions light years long and accumulate enough stuff. So it becomes bigger and bigger and then become capable of going into the supernova. We don't know, but it is depending upon the situation in the universe at the moment and in the future, which is itself almost beyond description and complexity. But it's not going to go for eternity. It has to go to an end and be another sky will be created, another stars or entities to be created, or something else, another type of system will be in place. Trying to understand that in mechanistic way in the same of physics will not get you anywhere, because you can do physics only for the existing system and project it forward relatively well or not well, how much you can develop the theory. For some of the theories, some of the ground unification claim that even the proton becomes unstable, but it takes 10 to the 30 years to disintegrate. So in 10 to the 30, half of the protons are gone. In 10 to the 60, I think the other half, etc. Imagine that, or times to 10 to the 6. So ultimately, what do we have? Everything will disintegrate. What's remaining? Photons, which are supposed to be massless and stay forever, and maybe some neutrinos, and these may be changing. We don't know. So it will be essentially an empty, dead universe. That's what things develop until now, based on the situation now. But who says that the whole reality there is not just like a in the holodeck, and then just simulation exit, it's gone. pull the plug on the simulation, another simulation can be started. And who's the one putting the plug in? The external majesty. It's completely another vision of the reality. But if this reality is not what we see, and is somehow in itself like what we see, which is a total option, then it may develop this way. But it will not be eternal. It can't go forever. It's something different. So all of this you see changing, going back and forth, indicate that it couldn't be possibly eternal to start with, because something eternal will never disintegrate. So it's something else. It's something created, and it's going to expire one day. Yeah. Next.
The next ayah. ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأن ما يدعون من دونه الباطل وأن الله هو العلي الكبير. Thus it is because God alone is the ultimate truth, so that all men invoke instead of him all that men invoke instead of him is sheer falsehood, and because God alone is exalted, truly great. Next translation. Thus it is because God is the truth, and whatever they invoke besides him is falsehood, and because God is the exalted, the great.
Yeah. Anything else, if someone attributes any divine characteristic to anything else which is not the only one and eternal truth, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this must be false. It's just imagination. It's an attribution to nothing, absolute falsehood. But people imagine it has, for example, imagine some theory of duality, say, oh, we solved the problem. Actually, there's another theory of duality, which is that during the creation act of Allah, allegedly, they removed good one. The good one is that what killed most people, because they define good according to their mind. You were not there. There was no you, and there's a divine absolute knowledge and idrak and consciousness and mind is there, nothing else. And for he knows what's good and what's evil. If there's anything like that, what he does and what he creates is good. What he doesn't do and it is evil. That's it. So, they think, how can you explain evil in the universe and he's the ultimate good? Attributing this attribute to Allah, that's the ultimate, because the Western tradition is that they cannot liberate them from the Christian tradition that Jesus came in the world to save humanity. That's obvious, not a Christian. This is the Pauline falsehood, which infested Christianity and made it really a Pauline Christianity. And then, because the absolutely good God is trying to save humanity. Save from whom? There are various theories now and various branches. We have Marcion who says, the world and the Old Testament are revealed by an evil creator, demiurge or something like that. Others say, but where does the demiurge have come from? Nobody knows. Or someone, actually, no. The demiurge came from initial creation of initial big spirits on first phase of creation. Some error happened and one of them became a demiurge. So if an error can happen in that, can happen everywhere. So the demiurge who can create other things. So all of this become irrational and internally contradictory. So all of these solutions are impossible. They lead to contradiction if it develops it technically the correct way, using strict mathematical and logical rules and so on. It's the only way we can do studying these things. Simplify to core issues and then develop it in the same strictness of mathematics and logic. Then you see clearly that where the contradiction comes and how things can be understood or at least rationalized, because some of these things is impossible to visualize, but easy and possible to rationalize. Not that much easy, but it is ultimately manageable. So everything what the attributes have any divine capability. One of them is resisting Allah in some aspect or run away from Allah, like the jinn thought they have this fooled by Iblis about this wrong philosophy and this. All of this does not exist. It's a fallacy. The faster you wake up from this fallacy, based on that, the whole thing of atonement is nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. It does not absolutely make any sense in any way you develop it. One is that it came to save the world from the devil. So how come the devil is holding the West hostage? Oh no, he's the creator of the world. And the Old Testament is the revelation of the devil, like Mark said. That went too far away. The early Christian could not swallow that. them heretic, and slowly they expelled all Marcion from their domain until they went to Persia and became part of the dualist camps there. They have the Marcion, who's originally supposed to be Christian, is well entrenched in Persia. I think it disappeared now, what it was. And also Manichaean, that's also a Christian branch originally. And then Disan, I don't remember that. I have to study what's Disanism, but these are the three main Zandaqa, believing in good and evil, separate entities, good and evil. And also we have the Zoroastrian, the Majus. That's a well-organized religion, but it's also part of the Zandaqa. They have a creed which is of type of Zandaqa, but they have a well-organized religion, so they assaulted them at the side. All of this is just going wavering, going nowhere. Going nowhere. And the Quran is refuting them with clear evidences. If this is a necessary existing being, if he's the creator of the universe, with his own power, with his absolute choice, then all of these assumptions will create contradiction. No, that's not a solution. Solution is different. Okay? I say repeated now for other angle. Continue. So you see, that was the main problem with that. There was not graves and so on, like the mentally deranged Wahhabi, Ahmad bin Abu Wahab especially, things, but it has nothing to do with graves. It has nothing to do with idols, something like that. These things, later constructions, which represent some deities which are deep inside the earth, satanic, or up in heaven, holy and pure. That's it. That's all representation of these things. They themselves, nobody thinks they have any divine attributes to themselves. But that is when you allow your mind to go off tangent and become so shallow, then nothing can save you unless you go back and start thinking from scratch, really and exactly. Okay, next.
ألم ترى أن الفلك تجري في البحر بنعمة الله ليريكم من آياته إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور. Art thou not aware how the ships speed through the sea by God's favour, so that he might show you some of his wonders? Herein, behold, there are messages indeed for all who are wholly patient in adversity and deeply grateful to God.
So they make a shortcut from that. The ships floating over the water, that's one of the, when science started with observation and controlled experimentation, and scientists started writing that down and predicting movements and so on, even building machines, they detected the hydrostatic laws and the laws of floating and so on. So let's explain how ships are on the top. What God has to do with that? So they thought because they can explain the immediate previous, the immediate law or the immediate technicality which lead to that, apparently, they declared that since we know because of the nature of hydrodynamic and the laws of mathematics mixed together, but they neglected that there's the law of hydrodynamic and so on, is in this universe, it doesn't need to be another universe. And also it relates to issues with the nature of fluids and how to describe them. But this goes back to another issues. These fluids, in the initiation of the universe, they were only gases, they were even pre-plasma. These emerged later, which laws were there who led that to emerge. So they don't go back enough. They say, oh, that's given, that's it. It's so since eternity. It's not. It's not. This is what shows that scientism or logical positivism, where it fails, where it collapses, because it doesn't go to the origin of things, to the logical origin of things, claiming it's logical. He looks at the conclusion and the current situation. That's not the way to look things in the universe. The Quran just gets you to the starting point, knowing very well that there are causes and effects and certain laws before that, and they're based on other laws and based on that, etc. But and the emergence of other laws from previous laws and so on. But it's very clear by itself. But he gets you to the fundamental, the fundamental decision of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That's ultimately the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Let me give you another example. We should also use a metaphor, which is very interesting. When Allah finished when Allah created the mercy, He created, that's the creator, not the divine attribute itself. That's not created, that's the divine characteristic. But He created mercy, the expression of mercy in the universe. He created hundreds of mercies. Okay. It looks very difficult to him, like 100 oceans. Okay, let's assume that. And He kept 99 over the throne with Him. That's again needs some deep metaphorical analysis, but let's skip that. And broadcast one in the universe. Okay. Then the surprise comes with it, for how the broadcast works. And obviously, this in the Big Bang, it must be a broadcast somehow to evolve and so on. We know now there's a Big Bang as a starting point, at least. At least now we are much wiser in time past. Okay. And then you get a surprise. From this 1%, from one mercy, you see the mother sheep lifts her foot so the baby can nurse. She doesn't hit him. Instinct. So, but we know that's coming for possibly from evolution and selection or very complex process. Maybe something else. We don't know. But we are from the Big Bang to the mother sheep lifting her leg. That's the one broadcast. So you have to get in the spirit to understand that rationally, deep rationally and spiritually. Then you see how far you are if you embrace scientism and embrace logical positivism. That's only that what we can experience, or we can derive by mathematics and logical conclusions. That's only which makes sense. Anything else is a fallacy. No. That's a self-contradictory state by itself, but it's discussed elsewhere. So that's, you see how you could be deceived by narrowing your look to the reality only without seeing this reality must have emerged somewhere. It was not like that from eternity. If you go back and back and back, then you face the eternal. As one who ultimately say, if you follow the development of the world to the Big Bang, then we look at the Big Bang as if we're looking at God Himself directly. This is a reasonable way of thinking about things. There's nothing else there. The absolute is there. It can't be nothingness. No, it can't be. It's the absolute there. And you can expand that in detail. You can shrink it. Doesn't mean you should, in science work, think about God action, how it started. No. We study the floating laws. We apply it in ships and benefit from it. But you should never forget that this is what we have observed. Did not start like that. It is not from eternity here. That's another area of research. That's the area of rational discourse and philosophy and belief, rational belief, like Islamic belief, not belief based on a tradition or receiving from the parents without any evidence. So there's a balance to see there. But simple-minded people sometimes get stuck with the see now and say, Allah must be acting immediately now to keep the ships floating. No, doesn't need. The system has been fashioned so that it works like that, but its own dynamic and its capabilities. If you don't see that, you'll be wavering between either concerning human action, at least, between fatalism and nihilism. You don't know what's going on until you see this, and this is within the divine power to create a universe with these characteristics. But any moment, through the history of the universe, Allah is capable of stepping in and change, or allowing things instead of going the normal way, suspend them. That's within His power. That's where scientists commit a fundamental error, so-called scientism. No. He is very well capable, as He started it in this way and gave it this character at the beginning. This is all contingent. This is all possible, one of the possibilities. Even during the development, He's not bound by these laws. It's not like the devil who can rebel against Allah. Nobody can rebel against Allah. He can send it any moment he decides to suspend for whatever reason he chooses to enact. Complete opposite with the static reality, which is spun from the beginning with the absolute truth, and a dynamic reality, which is completely dynamical, and God is absolutely sovereign and controlling everything and can negate everything in any moment He wants. Okay. Nothing can rebel against Him. Forget about that. It's not going to happen. No way. Okay.
Before
Continue.
proceeding, I'll just read the second translation. Do you not see that ships sail through the earth by the grace of God, so that he may show you some of his signs? Surely there are signs for this for everyone patient and grateful. Okay, next ayah. What?
Next.
Okay. وإذا غشيهم موج كالظلل دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين فلما نجاهم إلى البر فمنهم مقتصد وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا كل خطار كفور. For thus it is with most men, in brackets, when the waves engulf them like the shadows of death, they call unto God, sincere at that moment in their faith in him alone. But as soon as he brought them safe ashore, some of them stopped halfway, in brackets, between belief and unbelief. Yet none could knowingly reject our messages unless he be utterly perfidious, ingrate. The translation, and when waves come over them like giant shadows, they call out to God, sincere in their devotion to him. But when he delivers them safely to shore, some of them waver. Only a treacherous and ungrateful person refuses to acknowledge our signs.
Yeah, that's actually it's a little bit more complex than that. When people are in a calamity at sea and waves like mountains, and any moment you think, oh, now the next wave will get us down, we will sink, we'll be gone. And sometimes typhoons and cyclones and hurricanes are so tough. Even there's a report from one American destroyer in the World War was pushed right and left to the level that it became almost vertically 90 degrees to the side. So much so that the water came through the one who released there was no nuclear drive at the time. The one who released the smoke. What's the name there? Yeah.
The smoke from
the engine, by burning the oil or the wood and so on. They would
the chimney.
From the chimneys, and that ship drowned. Water came in, and the whole ship, a massive ship, drowned. So it becomes so terrifying that everyone says only God can save us from that. So they call, even there's some atheists who say, "Oh God, help us." But when they come to the core side, when they survive, they say it was just a cyclone. It happens naturally. Why do you think there's a God who helps you? Someone would think, against what they feel deep inside, that he is there, that he is the controller of the universe ultimately, whatever chain of cause effects and so on, and what even immediate action possibly happened there. And we have examples for immediate actions which contradict the natural law at the moment, like calming the wind for Isa when he was at the Sea of Galilee. He pointed to the wind and it calmed immediately. That's obviously direct divine action, negating the natural development. Natural development, the wind will continue for a certain time until it goes down, until the pressure has eased. We know the mechanism. We don't discuss that. Only a stupid will argue about that. But now it's clearly preventing that from happening. That's stepping in immediately. That's not development according to the law. To show people that this is my favorite and my messenger, not about his. Obviously, atheists say, "Oh, this never happened." That's just people are imagining. He took them in a hypnosis or mass hysteria. Okay, good, fine. Thank you very much for the excellent explanation. So, when they come to the shore side, they think we were just in a state of terror. We were fearing, and we responded to our fear. They don't think that they responded to the deep inside recognition that I am limited and finite. There is an absolute. That's what's deep inside. So you call to the absolute, who must have control of everything, to help, to step in somehow. That's what you're calling for. Now you are denying that. And this, Allah said, is the most treacherous, ungrateful person who, after, when he called to Allah alone, he's after making a covenant to Allah. Just help me from this, and they will be devoted only to you. Will not acknowledge any other authority. Now he is betraying. The other who are muqtasid by half and half, could be even some of them believer. They keep the but they are not, their devotion is not expressed always. It's expressed only in time of need. That's not good, but they don't express any devotion to anybody else. So there's me. So muqtasid is a little bit less than the first translation said, halfway. No, it's not necessarily halfway. It could be 2/3 of the way, but not full as it should be. Obviously, nobody will be as fully devoted as the moment when the waves, everyone says, no, I'm done, I'm gone. That state of affairs, nobody can sustain. But at least it should be generally in your background from time to time in your life. But definitely, some people do keep that. But when they don't supplicate to Allah as frequent as they should be. They don't think about Him in other occasions, making distinction between minor issues I can manage by myself. No, even minor issues. You should ask for what Allah said, and ask for Allah to help you with this calamity. Even a mistake, Allah said, any calamity hits you, if it hits you already and nothing can be done, then ask Allah to make it for forgiveness for you and substitute something better. So even if the laces of your shoe breaks, ask Allah for that. Don't think it's minor. Show that you are enslavement to Allah, because this is a calamity. It's a small one itself, and you can ask Allah, just reward me for my patience for this, and substitute a better laces or something better than that for me. Looks no, not ma. It is a calamity, small one, but a calamity. And to whom you approach with complaint, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my being hit a calamity, please reward me for my patience for that. And then reward me better than that. Then Allah said, I take on me that I will do better. The reward will be another laces, or maybe preventing an accident which will cut your leg. That's much better than new laces, or rewarding Yawm al-Qiyam. In many ways, we can respond to that. But you must be confident that He will respond the way He find appropriate for that moment. And He will reward you for your patience, provided you recognize that it is within His power. Did not happen to surprise to Him, nor in defiance to His power. No. Happened by the system of it developing this way. And you accept that, and you are, if you are participating in reducing the calamity, then you recognize that you have a share in the guilt, you repent, and then still you can ask Allah. And repenting, reward me for that, for the patience for that, despite my share in the problem. You still can ask that, and you should ask that. This way you become really a real servant and save Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not by going to the mosque and going this 5 times or 3 times, or having 20 rak'ahs or 50 rak'ahs. No. These are acts dictated by Sharia, so that you have some reminder during the day, so you don't fall completely in oblivion and get carried away with the struggle for food and for life and for the kids and so on. That's it. That's not the worship. The worship is that state of mind, that recognition of oneself and the relation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see how things work in the beginning. That's when you look to the universe the correct way. If you don't look the correct way, the scientific way, the shallow way, the idol worshipping way, you'll never get anywhere. You'll be going a never-ending cycle of contradiction and grief, and many of these people are very sensitive by their own mental makeup and genes. They will end committing suicide because they think look desperate and hopeless. It is not. It's the devil telling us you're desperate and hopeless. Okay, next. Next slide.
يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده ولا مولود هو جاز عن والده شيئا إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور.
Mankind.
O men, be conscious of your sustainer and stand in awe of the day on which no parent will be of any avail to his child, nor child will in the least avail his parent. Verily, God's promise of resurrection is true indeed. Let not then the life of this world delude you, and let not your own deceptive thoughts about God delude you. Next translation. People, be conscious of your Lord and fear a day when no father will be able to rescue his son, nor will a son be able to rescue his father at all. God's promise of resurrection is the truth. So do not let this worldly life deceive you, nor deceptive thoughts about God delude you.
Absolutely, I think it's clear, but just again repeating what taqwa means. Originally means protecting ourselves, protecting, being worried about something. Now, taqullah meaning be conscious of him, that if you go out of the meaning of your existence, you will be liable of falling in sins and transgression. But it's a mere act of going out of that is a transgression, and then you will be liable for punishment. So you are protecting yourself from punishment by being conscious. So the translation, being conscious of Allah, taqullah, because Allah is good, is the origin of the meaning of taqwa. But taqwa could mean protecting yourself from anything which is worth protecting. And we mentioned that in various places, and people misunderstand. Like, for example, the ayah of Siyam, usual translation is that, usual wording is that, so that you may protect yourself. And most people say, so that you become good conscious, more good conscious. Not only that, you may protect yourself from many other things. So from the sins and forgetting Allah Ta'ala and being carried away with life, that's the master one. But you may protect yourself from diseases. So Siyam is healthy, etc. That's all included in the ayah. So تتقون generally, تتقون for Allah Subhanahu. For Allah Ta'ala is being conscious of Allah Ta'ala that your misdeeds will be punished. So you are afraid of the punishment. The minimum you should be like to protect yourself from punishment. The minimum. That's obviously the high rank of people who just be aware of Allah Subhanahu because they are in love with Him. That's high rank. Let's go to the minimum. Everyone must have the minimum, which is that what the ayah says. And don't be fooled by the promise that the resurrection is not necessarily dictated by the natural. If you look at the universe, there's not the resurrection seem to be simply at hand or any reason to believe that it's going to come. So, from concluding from the material reality, we are right to say, what's the fuss? What's the resurrection? How it can happen? Everything disintegrates and goes. But Allah says it's wa'ad. It's a promise from Allah Ta'ala. And the promise to reward the one who did good deeds, and to the one who be conscious of Allah and recognize Him and fulfill the personal existence. The purpose is to know Allah and get a relation with Him. That's essentially the main purpose. These have to be rewarded. Allah promised them, and this is conditioned on the resurrection, on the last day. So the promise of Allah will be fulfilled. It's impossible for Allah to fail His promise. That's it. It's based on that, not based in chemistry and physiology. Chemistry and physiology will get you no resurrection, like the people denying resurrection in time past, that the Quran said, or the narrated from many Arabs saying, it is just what we see. It's very clear. There's a womb for spitting babies out. That's how we are created. Clearly, we come from wombs. And then earth was just swallowing dead bodies. That's it. We see nothing else there. And they are right. We don't see anything else there. Because they didn't consider how this whole thing started from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and didn't consider the divine promise. If you consider that, then picture, and this tradition says, do not doubt the promise of Allah. The promise of Allah is absolute. It will be fulfilled. There's no way it will be, Allah will fail to his promise. And don't be deceived by dunya, because if you're busy in dunya and the necessity of biology and eating and going and earning and so on, you may be deceived and say, womb spitting and earth swallowing. No cycle. If you look follow that's the only way it can work on an earth. It is a closed system and a finite one. So we have to recycle the bodies. Okay. That's very, very nice in matter of chemistry and conservation of matter and energy. That's all good. No problem. I'm not discussing that. But that's not what it's all about. There's something behind that. So don't be deceived by dunya, which present you this picture, and don't be deceived by the misleading advisors, devils, from humans and non-humans. No, sincerely advise you. There's nothing. You will disintegrate and go. And a few months later, all your body has been washed away and maybe gone part of of your father is maybe in a Japanese person or in someone in Argentina, or maybe you know who is somewhere in a bird, or that's maybe real for this body. It doesn't mean resurrection is not possible. It is well possible with the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and will happen necessarily because of his promise. He will never fail his promise. So to summarize the whole picture. إن وعد الله الحق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. Because what can deceive people from this fundamental fact is busy with dunya until they forget, until they suddenly face death and then they don't know what to do, or someone deceiving them. Devil, whispering of the mind, human deceiver, philosopher, thinker, alleged thinker, satanic entities of humans, etc., rulers, etc. Next ayah, I think we stop there. I think it's conclude this section about resurrection, or it's not. Read it. Let's see what it says.
It is the last ayah of this surah.
Is the last? Okay.
Oh yeah, the surah. So I mean, if you want, we can stop here. I mean, usually we can carry on if you want.
That was the last ayah.
No, this is coming up next. Is the last
okay.
ayah.
Read that. No, we'll stop there.
Okay. إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرض في الأرحام وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت إن الله عليم خبير. Verily, with God alone rests the knowledge of when the last hour will come, and he it is who sends down rain, and he alone knows what is in the wombs, whereas no one knows what he will reap tomorrow, and no one knows in what land he will die. Verily, God alone is all knowing, all aware.
Yeah. So
next translation. Next translation.
Go ahead.
Just a second, let me find it. Where's it going? Just a second. It's just God has knowledge of the hour and sends down the rain and knows what is in the wombs, but no soul knows what it will reap tomorrow, and no soul knows in what land it will die. God alone is all knowing and all aware. So,
just one remark: when weather forecast came and so on, etc., and the rain will fall or not fall with this probability, some people say, no, this cannot be because this is knowledge is clear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they refer to this ayah. Read the ayah again, you see how stupid people sometimes look at something and don't read it correctly. It says Allah has the knowledge of the sha'a alone. Okay. Nobody knew it, and nobody is allowed to know it until Allah makes the decision to bring it. Okay, that's one clear. And then what he says, and he only have the knowledge of bringing down the rain? No, he is the one who brings down the rain. Look at that. Is that there's any problem? No. The whole sequence leading to falling rain is under his control only, in full. Nobody can control it. Even the cloud seeding is still under his control. That's what it means. That you can estimate. You just ask any Bedouin. A certain season, I see a clouds from the color of the clouds and the direction of wind, say, it's inshallah, we'll have this later afternoon or the evening, we'll have rain. You can see it in advance. So some of the knowledge of when the rain is coming with which probability is there for humans. But the full knowledge of and the full control is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see? And the same with the ayahs after that, that's the knowledge, because you will not know which circumstances move you to go to a certain country to die there, and what you are going to earn tomorrow. Are you going to stay until tomorrow? Do you have the control of everything so you can estimate that I'll be staying and doing that? No. It's very well that an accident can happen, which is completely outside of your control, and then you will not survive until tomorrow. Completely out of your control. So you cannot know with certainty. You may guess, okay, tomorrow will be like today. I'll go to the work. And if you are working, for example, by a piece in a factory, on which you get your salary beside the basic one, which is not enough to survive, for each unit you create, you get so and so much money. Tomorrow, inshallah, I feel energetic. I will be able to make 100 pieces. And for each piece, I will get like like a pound. So tomorrow I go to earn £100. It's a good estimate, no problem with that. But is that certain? Do you know it for fact fully? No. And the same with I'm staying in this country. I'm not planning to go anywhere. So if I die, I'll be dying here in London, for example. No. A certain emergency may come, certain conditions may come, and you go to another country for a quick business, the lucrative business coming, and there you die there. Never anticipated it. And there people tell a funny story. I think it's one of those fabrications. I'm not sure if it's a hadith really authentic, which that I think it's a time of Sulaiman after Dawood, one of his entourage saw a man who knew a man coming, like in an open session, because they had open session, like majlis, for the public. A strange man, he was never there, looking at him, looking like as if he waiting for something. And he never saw him in this majlis. And then he complained to, I think, Sulaiman. So Sulaiman is the one all amazing things are attributed to. Told him, Sulaiman, there's a strange man. I noticed him several days. He come and look at me only, essentially looking at me. He doesn't look at you. And I have a feeling that this is the angel of death. And he come to take my soul. Is there any way to escape that? It doesn't seem to escape. What do you want me to do? Say, just get one of your ask Allah that an angel or one of the afarit carry me in the heaven. That's the story. It's obviously very nice for kids. So he carried him in heaven. And then the strange man came to Sulaiman and said, where is this guy? He's missing. He said, he recognized you as you are coming from, you are one of the angels of death. Say, yes, I came. I have been that I was amazed. I looked at him. I was amazed that I'm supposed to take his soul in the first heaven or second heaven. And he's here. How he can be there at the same time? I'm waiting. How this could happen? So that's exactly what he asked for, to take out of the earth to escape you. So oh, that's fine. That's the job. Go and took him. That's just a funny story to tell you that whatever you estimate, Allah design will overcome your design. If it is there decided by Allah to take your soul in the moon, He will take your soul in the moon. Then there will be good reason for you to go to the moon. Maybe you become a billionaire and you decide to have one of these trips of Elon Musk and go have a visit to the moon with all the facilities, and then you die there. You know, I'm just making a joke, but just to see how things are complex, interwoven, and any one thing he can't control all of them, he's an idiot. They can't. The only one in absolute control of everything is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good. So
okay, I mean, we can stop there if you want, or we can carry on. It's entirely up to you.
No, I think it's better to have a good stop. Yeah.
But
there's many issues which they're more philosophical and qadar type and so on, which is important from time to time. So at the first look, the eye looks very simple, straightforward. But if you go deeper, this is the deeper layers, layer by layer. Even the direct meaning should be clear and should be instructive. But the deeper meaning, the deeper layers, and layer after layer, it gets you deeper and deeper. And both are accessible. The straight layer is accessible by everyone. It's enough to get you the guidance you need for life. But some people who are so infested by sophistry or attacked by satanic whisper or have read too much in philosophy and they don't find their orientation point, this will give you an orientation point. So, I know how to get it, where the problem started. I know how to attack the problem from the first point. Okay. And that's what there is. It's a dhikr, it's a reminder, it's a wise reminder. And we have to mention that at the beginning, the hadith of Mas'ud, most like it's marfu', said the Quran has been revealed so that every ayah is having a border and a vantage point. And a zahir, the open meaning, which you can look from a vantage point, and a batin, a hidden meaning or a lower level of meaning. And this batin may have a batin up to 7 batins. Obviously, 7 is not exactly a number, but several batins could be there. Not millions and trillions, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, something like that. 7 batins. It sounds like if someone sees that for the first time, because it's not صحيح. Both موقوف and مرفوع. Unlikely it is موقوف and Masoud. Masoud is not known really to be that sophisticated and ingenious. If it's with Ibn Abbas, we say maybe it's Ibn Abbas ingenuity. But for Masoud, it's not the ingenious man. We know that. I never say, oh, it's a Sahaba, it's not ingenious. Leave these people. Leave them in that dark age mentality. So this seems to be authentically from Prophet ﷺ. If someone reads that first time, say, oh, it looks like Sufi, like philosophical discourse. No, it is not. It's the correct discourse. Come from Messenger of Allah. Maybe once only, just give you a hint, but it opens your gates and doors to use your brain correctly. If you want to use it, just take the shallow meaning directly and just comply with it. You'll be fine. No problem. Okay, so let's conclude this. Surah is much deeper than someone thinks just Luqman advising his son. Before and after we got such deep thoughts, I think it's amazing. So,
okay,
let's stop here. I think it's a convenient point. Until the people hear it and digest it, it's good.
Okay, no problem. So next week we'll see
plane activities these days. Are these the planes going to West Asia, to the Middle East, to be inshallah destroyed? Maybe. It's plenty of movement, which usually we don't have here. Maybe there's near bases and they're flying to the Middle East.
Oh, you're getting your area. You're getting
yeah, in the noise from there. Yeah, it seems to be a longer flying path of fighter planes and tanker and things like that. Allah.
Wow, we got RAF Northolt, not too far.
Could be.
Cool. Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Okay.
There's rumors that something is being cooked now. Anyway, we'll have that in the Palestine update, inshallah, part of it.
Okay. So next week will be Surah Luqman, Surah Sajda, Ayah 1.
That's a very important surah because we said another consideration. But let us stop here, inshallah, and record that in your record. And if there's any questions, so we can give the answers related to the surah or related to other things of relevance.
No problems. Okay, so first question, we'll see how we can get on. So I would like to know your views on the succession after the Prophet ﷺ. After Abu Bakr radiallahu anh came Umar radiallahu anh, then Uthman radiallahu anh, then Ali radiallahu anh. However, each of them assumed the Khilafah through a different process rather than the same method. Why was this the case? Also, what are the views of the great Imams and classical scholars regarding this issue?
I don't know.
Consensus.
Stop here. What means different? The same system is also Shura, but Shura interpreted, applied their time according to the condition of their time. That's one mistake people show. Because it's very clear. It's very clear if you take all evidences, not that's what some so-called Bakri or some Alawi claim. If you take all the evidence, all narration, read our book about Saqifa, then you see what I mean. So the principle is clear. And if you take all narrations and balance them, that's really, even by Ibn Abi Talib himself narrated. So if the brother who's asking is of Shia background, is that it's clear that hadith are clear, that the community is around a leader who is being given a bay'ah. He becomes a leader by bay'ah. That's well established. And the Quran is very clear. أمرهم شورى بينهم. It's in the Makki one. All their affairs are to be settled by consultation, by voting, essentially. The form of consultation at the time may be different, but ultimately it's voting. Now, to be excluded from that, what's haram and halal as revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's excluded because this is Allah's affair. This is Allah's injunction within which this ruling applies. So the Shura cannot negate the divine sovereignty by necessity because it's enacted by the divine sovereignty. Who made that the believer classified as believer and praise them because they establish the main characteristic is that what is their main characteristic is that they firm in prayers or they establish prayers and their affairs are set by Shura and then they spend from their wealth. So it's giving a head start, a head zakat. Zakat is also community duty, but it's also individual duty. Individuals could be do it in this alone if there's no community which collected. The same with Shura. If there's a community, then all affairs must be settled by Shura. Salah can be established by everyone alone. It will be not fully established. It will be just performing Salah. Establishing the deen in your life generally. But these fine details. So Shura is the way to settle all issues. And the most important issue of our community, what is it? Who leads and who have the command to manage the affairs. Because clearly, from the situation at the time of the revelation and the whole world, there's no way a community can work without leadership and organization. Maybe 3-4 can do temporarily in a trip, and even on a trip, we have the Hadith of it is not permissible for 3 and upward. The said the one who travels alone is a shaitan, is a devil, is out of obedience of Allah, because traveling alone is extremely dangerous, especially if you're crossing the desert. And the 2 are shaitana, 2 is devils. You need a minimum of 3. So if one fall ill, there are 2 who can carry him and so on. Imagine 1 and 2 will be finished. So you have to have 3. That's the one hadith. That's its footnotes explained through history with the Prophet. So further after that will be then 3. Minimum is 3. And then if 3 are in travel, they are not allowed to start the travel unless they appoint between them an Amir. Just someone who says, we stop here, we go here, and so on. After consultation, but someone has to make the final decision. Because if you have, let's say, 10 persons, some say, we settle here 5, another 5. Who will tip the balance? Some may come with a point of view, some say, no, your point of view is not correct because of this and this. If you stop here, we'll be weak to go to the next stage, and the water is there. Here, we don't have enough water. It's better to accelerate now. And they can discuss between them. And normally, if you discuss, you will be guided to the best technical solution for the situation, and so on. But they have to have a leader. And that's stressed by Messenger of Allah. So if in a trip, which is a limited time, not a lifetime, not a community affairs managing a whole village or a significant part of a city, the city can be divided in certain parts. Each one is almost like a community. Like big cities which emerged. Some of them emerged in time past, definitely. In time of Islam, they were already there. But real giant cities emerged after that. They may be divided in several communities and they can have to manage their affairs with their own council and so on. But it's technicality. So there's no escape that you need consultation and so on. And the head of that must be chosen by which way? Divine revelation, there's no divine revelation there. We'll discuss the divine revelation. Like people say, it must be appointed by divine revelation and show this is a fallacy. So that's it. But what I'm saying, they have to appoint an Amir between them. How they can appoint an Amir between them? Someone jump and say, I'm your Amir? No. A consultation between them. You have more experience in travel and you get guide trips before, you will be our guide, our Amir for this trip. So when they reach their home and they're back home for a trip, back and forth, everyone goes home and the Imara is dissolved. And the community or this organization is dissolved. So this is, I think, clear by necessity of reason and by the hadith. Now, even the Messenger of Allah as a leader of the group with him in Mecca, especially a leader of a party, they gave him bay'ah. Some people until now misunderstand bay'ah al-Islam. What meaning bay'ah al-Islam? They gave him bay'ah for Islam. Islam is not a bay'ah. Islam is a commitment between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pronouncing shahada. But Allah did not leave that for our thinking and design. He gave an example which told someone, you are not ready to support me now, go back to your home. That's Abu Dhar. Abu Dhar came and embraced Islam and asked the Messenger of Allah to accept him in the group, carrying da'wah. Say, you'll not be able. You are from Ghifar. Ghifar is a tribe which is not really respected from other tribes, especially they are known. When you say they're from far, you say, Allah says, subhanallah, Allah guides him where he wants. Because Ghifar is the farthest away from anybody's imagination that anyone will come from far away to embrace Islam from him. While Quraysh is rejecting Islam, and which is homegrown, or from in their own man. And he told him, I want to join you, give you bay'ah. Say, no, you are not capable of supporting me, working with an organized work. Go back, and here I have become well established somewhere, come to me. But now you can't. Quraysh will kill you and nobody will protect you. Rifar is not able and they are hated by other Arabs because they were known to be the thieves who crossed the way of Hajj. So they have no respect. No, forget about it. Just go. So this shows clearly that a bay'ah there meaning becoming active member of the hizb, of the party. Active hizb of the party. That's the meaning of bay'ah there. Then after arriving in Medina, now there's quite a number of muhajirin, and they sold from their own citizenship, which is the time essentially tribal belonging. That's the citizenship at the tribal level, and the structure in Arabia was essentially tribes. Each tribe is like a state. Some of them quite independent. Even Mecca was run by the Dar al-Nadwa, and there were various tribes, and each one is regarding himself as more wealthy, and they have to set it by agreement in Nadwa, and to avoid going to war. So it's even looser than a confederation. Anyway, independent. Now the Muhajirin are in Medina. They don't belong to any state. They are stateless in the beginning. So they established, because they are now sufficient number to be like a tribe or something like that, and they belong all to Quraysh essentially, with few exceptions, but they are allies of Quraysh. So they became like the Muhajirin state. And that's the reason the first few years, if you check the list of Saraya and so on, before Badr, and even after Badr, all of them, all Saraya were sent only Muhajirin. Did you ask yourself, why only Muhajirin? No one from Ansar. Because Ansar were not supposed to be under the Prophet's authority as a head of state. There was no state of that. They have their own states, and all what they're supposed to do, according to Bay'ah in Aqaba, that's where Hizb al-Tahrir made a major mistake, is to support the Messenger of Allah, and carrying his da'wah, and protect him as long as he's in Medina, as they protect themselves and their children. That's all. If someone comes trying to get him, no. Now he carries his da'wah on his own risk outside, that's fine. We are not obliged to that. But that's the reason before Badr, he asked the people with him, there was some Ansari joining him as freelance, as sadaqah. And he was asked, give me advice, people. And then one Ansari recognized, and the Muhajirin gave various advices and said, give me more advice. And one of the Ansar recognized them, Sa'd Mu'adh said, it seems to be our meaning as Messenger of Allah. Say, yes, now you recognize what I mean. Are you worried that we will not support you? Because our agreement is to support you in Medina, only particular Medina. And we are not going to go with you against Quraysh now, which is not within the agreement. That's not the bay'ah in Al-Aqaba. He said, yes. Say, Messenger of Allah, we are not going to behave the Bani Israel. When Musa told them, go do this, they refused. Say, go and fight with your Lord. I say, go and fight with your Lord, and we are fighting with you. Meaning we take that now. And after that, the issue with Ka'b al-Ashraf and declaring war and so on, writing the Sahifat al-Madina, and then the federal state was established and a confederation with the Jews. That's in Sahifat al-Madina. So that's the structure. After that, the community grew, and every time the issue of community and Jama'ah is stressed, and leaving the community, and that breaking the oath of allegiance to the leader, to the legitimate leader, is one of the major sins, equal to shirk almost. Like when the Messiah of Allah, Abu Hurairah said, we are used to believe that fasting Ramadan will erase all the sins from this Ramadan to the Ramadan before it. And that's what Abu Anas Malik told us initially when Ramadan was enacted. Now the Messiah said, Ramadan to Ramadan, Jum'ah to Jum'ah, etc., raises all sins in between, unless in one narration, Kaba'ir had been avoided, unless of 3. That's the first one, I think. Later was generalized to Kaba'ir 3. And then all of us stood up. That's something new. Allah said, I knew that's something new. That's not what we have heard before. And the same messenger of which 3 are excluded, will not be erased by Jum'ah to Jum'ah, Salah to Salah. If you have Salah and the next Salah, all minor sins in between are erased, inshallah, etc. With the wudu also. So what's these 3? Looks very threatening. فيه الشرك بالله ونقض الصفقة وترك السنة. They say, okay, Shirk Billah, we know what's it. We know it. Adopting a divine being beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's we know. They don't need to discuss that. That's very clear to us. ما هو نكث الصفقة? Say that you give bay'ah to someone with your right hand and then after that fighting him with your sword. Obviously, as all such general statement, the pure case is meant that you have no reason to fight him. You did not commit kufr wa. All of these are included with other hadith. But in that, as long as he's fulfilling his side of the safqa, ruling with justice, not oppressing, fulfilling his promise, we know from many other hadith, what's his obligation, then you have absolutely no reason to turn back and fight him with your sword. You are breaking the safqa, and this is as sinful as shirk billah. وترك السنة, say, what's ترك السنة? Leaving the sunnah. What is sunnah is meant? So that these idiots, like a story about Ahmed bin Hanbal seeing someone, man, Abdullah is narrating that his son, I'm sorry, I was not witnessing. And he saw a man who was making wudu and making sure that between his fingers he have the water and so on is clean. So cleaning it between, which is a good thing to do, that you clean your foot properly. And he was happy coming home, say, I saw someone doing sunnah. For him, this is sunnah. It's a sunnah, definitely, but it's not a sunnah. Say Allah and say tark sunnah, and not a sunnah. Say Allah means the one who changed my sunnah is one from Bani Umayyah, and not a sunnah in the hadith that 7 or 6 I have cursed, and any prophet has cursed them, and Allah will curse them. And the first one, the one who is oppressing the other people, etc. One of them, what tariq al-sunnati, is that cleaning between the toes? No, that's not the sunnah min tariq al-sunnati. It's the sunnah which mentions the same hadith of Abu Hurairah. Say, what is tarq al-sunnah? Leaving al-jama'ah, leaving the community which is organized, obviously organized under an imam. So it usually starts with tarq, with naqd al-safqa, even if that without naqd al-safqa, with another form, leaving the community, rebelling against the community, like Muawiyah did when the people came to get the bay'ah, people of Sham. His forces standing there, no, we don't allow to come in. He left with this, he left the Jama'ah. And the people supporting him, they left the Jama'ah. They created another Jama'ah. Because the Jama'ah must give bay'ah, and the one who doesn't give bay'ah, don't give bay'ah. You see how many votes are there and balance it and so on. And if you get the bay'ah of the majority of people of Sham, it's the bay'ah of Sham. But the people of Sham only part of the Ummah, because all the parts of the Ummah sent bay'ah to al-Bayday. Ali ibn Talib, in his time, he got the bay'ah from everywhere in written form with signature and thumbing of the people. Camel after camel coming with loads of these parchments at the time. So the most widely bay'ah in the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But many people do not know, because they don't study history, especially the people calling themselves Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So that's my just. So it's assumed there will be a Jama'ah. If the Jama'ah exists and has been fashioned, which must be the case necessity, unless external condition make it impossible. We'll mention some example of this external condition. Then tark al-sunnah, leaving a Jama'ah is tark al-sunnah, is a major crime. Is a major sin, equal to the level of shirk billah. Okay, so, and then we have them saying, people, Ali ibn Abi Talib and others asking Ali ibn Abi Talib, and they always ask, who will be our guide after you? Obviously, there's no messenger after Muhammad, no prophet, so there's no talking about prophethood or divine guidance. That's finished, that's completed. So who will be the commander, the leader? And he said on various occasions, Bani Israel were ruled by the prophets after prophet, and there's no prophet after me. And there will be khulafa, there will be plenty. And then ask what to do with them, to do this and this, etc. We have to understand the hadith and issue of bay'ah. But anyway, ask him, who should be after, who you recommend to be after us, leading us after you? He said, there are only 3 visible candidates, essentially. He didn't say that directly, but they say into Amir Abu Bakr, if you appoint Abu Bakr, you will find him weak in his body, but strong in the deen of Allah, and mention that he will not be really the one who would be, because his time, obviously, he received revelation at the time of Abu Bakr, if he's elected, will be short. And if you appointed Umar, you will find him strong and tough in the commands of Allah, and He doesn't fear the blame of blamer. He says the truth without fearing anything. That's Umar. وإن تأمر عليا ولا أظنكم فاعلا. Don't think he will do it. Why? We don't know. He didn't mention the reason. I have some reasons in my mind that ولا أظنكم فاعلين تجدوه هاديا مهديا يحملكم على الطريق. He's guided himself. He is himself probably guided, and he can guide you. هاديا مهديا, the one who guides, and he himself is probably guided and he can guide others, and he will carry you on the right path. People speculate what Allah أظنكم فاعلين. Why? My best guess is that at the time the Prophet was given the hints that he's soon to depart after Quran has been completed and written completely in the 10th year and reviewed twice, etc. Many instances, and he also said that to Fatima in a clear way, that you are the first one to follow me. Jibreel reviewed the Quran with me twice this Ramadan, means that's the end of my life. خلاص. And then she wept, and then he told her, but you will be the first of my family to follow me, and she laughed. And Aisha asked her, what did the Prophet say? I'm not going to tell you the Messenger of Allah's secret. After all that happened and so on, she asked her again, tell me, what is it related to his death? Say, yes, he told me this and this. Anyway, Ali would have been too young. And the Arab, like most nations actually, have an obsession that the leader of the community has to be like some kind of a minimum age. And the general age people feel is something like 40. And Ali would have been at that time only maybe 32 or something, below the limit of any constitution in the world. At the moment, if you look at the constitution in the world, you'll find American constitution requires, I think, 35 or 40 years minimum. So that's, this does not fit in Ali. So because of that, and maybe other things, many people have grudging against him because he killed their families and so on. And many munafiqeen are against him. All of these, and they would be in the society. There's no way to, there was no command to exterminate them. That's not how Allah revealed the Quran and the Sunnah to Muhammad ﷺ. And he enforced that to this Sunnah hundreds of times. So now when Abu Bakr happened, a problem happened, which started in Saqifa. I will not go very long to waste time. Just everyone was in a state of shock, and they were gathering in the masjid to discuss. That's according to the report of Umar. And the reporter said it was before Umar was killed, few days before he was killed, and Ali was present, and most major Sahaba were there. All of them were there, the major ones, including Ibn Abbas is narrating that, and memorized it well and wrote it down, because all other narrators, Ibn Abbas, recorded almost verbatim. That can be only if it's written down. He said, as I said in the Saqifa, the Gesha has beaten around the bush because the issue is so hot and sensitive. And the issue was initiated by someone in the Hajj before that, because that was after the Hajj, like 10 days after Hajj, after arriving in Medina. In Hajj, someone, Umar get a report of someone that Zubair said, if Umar dies, naturally or suddenly, I will jump and give bay'ah to Ali. By the way, Zubair was very pro Ali. Later on, he was still shifted by his own son in the wrong direction. It's independent of that. It's human behavior. It happens everywhere. No problem with that. So Umar was angry for that. I will talk about these people who want to resolve their power for themselves. So he's clearly saying the power is for the people, for the Ummah, not for. And then Abdurrahman ibn Auf persuaded him. He wanted to stand in Mina to say that. Ibn Abbas is silent. He hears that. He is present. He hears that. Abdurrahman ibn Auf persuaded him that it is better to wait for that. You know, it's a hot issue. Wait for that until you get to Medina. Then the scholars around you, the ancient Sahaba around you, and so on. And Umar was persuaded by this advice. I believe it's a wrong advice. So the wrong advice. Saying that in Mina would have many more narrators than Ibn Abbas narrating it. And because the argument of Abdurrahman, the people will take it everywhere, and there will be not enough people of wisdom and the savviness to understand it the proper way. It may cause problems. It may cause upheaval. That's a mistake of Abdurrahman. That's the wrong way of thinking about the people. The wider it goes and people discuss it, the better it gets entrenched in the people's consciousness. But it happens. That Umar was persuaded. Because Umar seemed to be someone of ra'i rather than text. In many occasions, he come with a ra'i, And then he changes suddenly and so on. Many occasions. We don't want to discuss that, nature of Umar. And then he said, then after discussing this issue, discussing that Allah, oh, that don't overpraise me like the Jew, the Nazarene, the Nasara, the Christian, the Christian. Their original name was Nazarene. Calling them Christian is much late, as you see in Acts itself. I believe they were called that in Antioch later, much later. We have to verify history there. That's irrelevant. But anyway, and they overpraised him until he got him up to humanity. What is the overpraise? Let me see your answer to it. إنما أنا عبد, I am a slave. فقولوا عبد الله ورسوله. Don't go like the Christians say, he's a Lord. The moment you go Lord and not abd, you are done. You are on the way of the abyss. Then he talked about the rajm and the stoning. Luckily, he talked about that because he gave as the evidence that the rajm is mansukh. But that's another story. Then after that, he got stuck now. He has to come say. And I hear that some of you, in one narration, most likely some of the narrators changed, some of you without mentioning the name. And another is Zubair. He said, mentions very clearly. Independent, it's a Zubair who definitely said that. Some of you said, if Umar dies, I will jump and give bay'ah to another one, to Fulan. Because that's the Zubair argument, which is the correct argument, because the bay'ah Abu Bakr was faltah, was like a shot in the dark. And Umar said, it is true. Now, this is a very important testimony with Ibn Abbas present, with many Sahaba present. The story I will try to summarize. It was falta, but Allah protected us from its evil. And now he gave us very important information. He said, the situation was the following. We were all in shock, mostly sitting in the masjid and discussing issues. The Messenger is at home after he died. And we're discussing the affairs. While we're discussing, myself and Abu Bakr and Abu Ubaidah were going somewhere and coming back to the masjid. Some Ansari from Aus, by the way, so there's no old tribal grudges are playing still role in psychology of humans. These are the best of people still. They came to them, say, listen, Sa'd ibn Ubadah was Khazraji, not from Aus, the other wing. Sa'd ibn Ubadah is collecting all the people in the Saqifa in his tribal area at the side. It's Saqifa Bani Sa'ida. And they're discussing who will follow the Messenger of Allah. But don't, now they play the game, psychological game. But don't worry about them. Just conclude the affairs here. You are the one who have to conclude the affairs. Abu Bakr and Umar and Abu say, no way we can conclude without our brothers. We'll go and discuss with him. What's the issue there? How you are separating yourself? And then Umar says a very important note which clarify many issues related to that. And say, at that time, so Sa'd ibn Ubadah was secluding himself with Ansar far away in the Saqifa of Bani Sa'ida, wanting to be appointed. He has a desire for power. That's clear with the whole circumstances. And Al-Abbas and Ali and their group, including Zubair and so on, and Sa'd ibn Abu Waqqas with them and so on, they seclude them in the house of Ali or the house of Abbas. That's one point very important. It is most likely Ali was persuaded by Abbas to go aside to discuss this because he was asking several times before that, ask the Messenger of Allah, do we have any share in the affairs? Do we inherit anything? Do anything like that? So still Abbas could not liberate him from the idea of inheritance and rulership, etc. from Jahiliyyah time. And no wonder, he was only in Medina 2 years later. Before that, he was in Mecca, in the Kufr environment. Maybe he was believer and performing Salah, but that's all. And maybe communicating some information with Allah. I'm not denying anything of that, but he did not be colored by Islam so deep like Ali and Abu Bakr and Umar, who are ancient Muslims and have interacted. So he said, Ali and his group seclude themselves in that place. I say, that's really should not have been Ali. That's not haram. No, it's a technical mistake. A man in the caliber of Ali, should not be secluded. He should be in the masjid with Abu Bakr, Umar, but I think he was persuaded by Abbas, because Abbas was digging before that, asking him, ask him, ask him. Ali said, I'm not going to ask him. If we have any share, and Allah revealed that to him, he will tell the people. He will not hesitate. He will broadcast the message of his law. And if I ask him and happens to say, no, you don't have any share, then it will never reach us for all eternity. Forget about that. Many of the Quraysh, many of the Arabs hate us because we disciplined them with the sword in times of war. Now we're in time of peace. We have to wait some time until the grudges go. So I'm not going to ask him. That's before. So I think this is the mistake. It's a mistake on mubahat. You can do that, you can. But for man like Ali, this should not have happened. Let's say if it's clearly by the persuasion of Abbas or whatever, it should not have happened this way. So they looked around. Who is there? These three. The leader of the committee at the time, these three, they went to Saqifa. And there was the discussion. And Umar described the discussion details. Ultimately, it happens the bay'ah because there was a dispute and confusion. And Umar said, the best thing, I cut the issue there and told Abu Bakr, give me your hand, I give you bay'ah. Also, before the Abu Bakr said, okay, let's agree on Umar, could dispute with who leads the Arabs, Quraysh, or so on. Anyway, I give bay'ah, nobody dispute about Umar, let you give bay'ah. Umar said, I would have better decapitated than they take leadership while Abu Bakr said, no, you are the one who was the messenger of Allah in the Ghar. You are much earlier in Islam. You are all these characteristics. You are his first minister or deputy minister, deputy head of state. I'll give you bay'ah. And stretch my hand, give him bay'ah. And asked the people to come, and then all came, and they forsaken Sa'd ibn Ubadah, which was obviously almost dying and was sick and was angry and so on. Anyway, that also mistake. What should have been done? Should Abu Bakr said, okay, that must be settled on Muslim presidents to go to the masjid. Abu Bakr failed to do that. That's the falta. And Umar did confirm the falta. He said, that was falta, but Allah protected us from its evil because the one chosen by this falta, by the shot, it hit in the right target, is Abu Bakr. And none of you present now, nor me, are to that level. No falta like that should be tolerated in the future. Anyone who does something like that, like I did, Abu Bakr did, should be killed immediately. That's happened to us. We learn from this mistake. So nobody is really having a plot or a crime like some Shia in their imagination go according to this narration and the confirmation by Ali ibn Abi Talib. We have the confirmation. He was there. He was there in the masjid. It was Jum'ah after many years. And his daughter was the wife of Umar for years, and she had kids from all these grudges of the past may have been smooth over and all of these things. And he never said that Umar was lying on the pulpit. So just stick to what we have. That's the best what we have. But best it's not best narration. That's it. Who is there anyone who committed a crime and became sinful? Yes, I think Sa'd ibn Ubadah. Were it not was martyrdom later, he would have been really in trouble. Hopefully, his martyrdom later exonerated him because he should not have took a part of the Muslims as a tribe and secured to other side and go to these things. That should not have been for someone of him. Definitely not. It happened maybe can happen from Sisi, from Al Saud, and this type of people, not from that man. But hopefully, his martyrdom in Palestine and later is a forgiveness for him. But the others are not sinful. It was a mistake by the shock of the situation, reinforced by Ali not being there when it is did. Otherwise, he would have gone with them, argued with them. Most likely he would be suggested go to the masjid and they will give bay'ah. And I suggest even there it would be the bay'ah to Abu Bakr because Arab is having this obsession with the mature man, old man to be a leader. There's no way to get out of this mentality except after training and long time and so on. And even constitutions that will specify minimum age for head of states and prime ministers. So they will not give it to someone, even if ingenious for 23 years. You have to go through a complex process of party membership, even local administration. We know that. You see it, but that's natural. That's human nature. You're not going to get people ready for being a head of state unless they go through a thorough training in management and so on. And usually you accept a certain. But anyway, that's the general picture. So that was a falta, no doubt about that. But next day, that was Monday. Next day, Tuesday, Janab Bay'ah was given to Abu Bakr. And Ali became upset. That's clear. And did not give bay'ah for 6 months, like the correct hadith mentioned. Some hadith claim he gave bay'ah the same day. No. Some Shia analysts say he was busy collecting the Quran. That's a joke. And they say he was busy washing the Messenger of Allah, and these people are fighting a problem. It's not true. The Messenger of Allah was not buried and not washed until before burial. That's in Wednesday. So it's not delayed because choosing an imam is more important, not important. All of this is the imagination of Sheikh Taqi Rahmatullah alayhi. And some classical scholars went this way. They never really got the Saqifa issues thoroughly done and getting the best hadith and the best established one, like the main hadith of Saqifa, which we started there. So that's it. In the case of that, when Abu Bakr was about to pass away, then things are settled with Ali. They will conclude everything peacefully and nicely after 6 months. And then Ali appointed Abu Bakr, say, I'll meet you tomorrow in the masjid and give you bay'ah. And they went in the masjid, and he still rebuked Abu Bakr for various things. Yeah. In the masjid, Abu Bakr wept and said, okay, I'll send the Khilafah. I do not mean that. Nobody is worthy of it than you, but it should have been done otherwise. And Abu Bakr admit, yes, it should have been, but it happened. As Umar said, there's a factor. Now, when Abu Bakr was about to die, he's conscious that the Muslim armies are busy with the Persian Empire and busy with the that's number one. Secondly, the Murtadeen were just being overcome. Just maybe 1 year ago, they were gone. And still plenty of nifaq and hostilities here and there hidden under the cover. So he thought, that's an ijtihad, you can agree or disagree with him, is that let me make now a pre-election. So he asked the people, which one should be the imam after me? As prepare, that's it. So let's say like nomination, not really an election. And then it was overwhelming that it's no one can come into discussion except Abu Bakr, except Umar and Ali. And then close to his time of death, that balance was tipped to Umar, and he wrote a document with that. The content document is not delivered to us. Some people say he appointed Umar. If he thought he had the right to appoint Umar, then he's mistaken. We have to clarify it's a mistake. But evidently, Ali does not object. Only some Shia narration claiming that he was taken to the bay'ah of Umar like a donkey and pulled by the sword. Oh, this is nonsense. This is just a joke. This is really a joke. So that's, if you study all the history of the narration, you see this is a mockery of sane human beings. So it seems to be a nomination. And then he said the majority seems to be with Umar. And I said just Umar. That's all what he is. I think that's the day some so-called Sunni scholars claim it is ahd or appointment by Abu Bakr. I say it's not an appointment. That's the best what we can conclude. At that time, it was either not clear in my mind what it is, or it is really a nomination, and it is then it is strong. But the people complied with it and came and gave bay'ah, including Ali gave bay'ah. All of them gave bay'ah. So that's it. That's another technicality. At that time, they were still in the stage of ijtihad and which procedures, how to enact the things. And then after Umar, he said, I will not nominate one single person, so it looks like binding. And he said, if I nominate someone, only someone, then it will be following the Sunnah of Abu Bakr. But I will not nominate. I will rather follow the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah. He did not nominate anyone. That's as clearly established from him. And but he nominated 6 as that's clear nomination. It can't be appointment. And after they consult between themselves, and the reason for restricting it to 6 is that these from Sabiqeen al-Awwaleen, which the Messenger of Allah died, and it's well known that he was happy with them. He's not happy with any one of them grudges. And the top was Ali, and so we know the numbers. And then they will meet and discuss and so on. And Suhaib will lead Salah. I appointed 3 days. Again, the Hizb Tahrir Muslim, 3 days just administrative management. Is not they are in Medina, they are present. The consultation should not take more than that. So what happened after that was the best narration. If we put all of it together, Abdul Hamid said, tell them, listen, I have no interest in that. I take myself out. And I have no, and so اثنين of them, another one, they were outside Medina, or they sent to them, maybe just in the villages there, they will come. In their behalf, I know that they have no interest in that, so I'm taking them out. And then the remaining were, I think, this is, and he took three, himself and three others, that's four, and the remaining, Ali and Uthman. Obviously, my feeling is that Abdul by taking himself out and so on, is just hinting to Uthman, be considered. You cannot compete with Ali in anything. You cannot compete with Ali in anything. Forget about that. Just withdraw yourself. And Uthman should have done that. That's one of the major blunders that opened the gate of hell to Uthman. This mistake. But he insisted. Looked right and left, says, okay, then I will ask the people of Medina, and he asked, he had a comprehensive survey. And then came after that, and there's a controversy about the point that I think there's other supporting evidence for it, is that he started asking Ali first, so he gives Ali preference. Said, I ask everyone, nobody give preference over you to anybody, but they have one condition, majority of people. That's a condition of people, not Abdul Rahman bin Auf. Is that you stick to the Sunnah of Abu Bakr and Umar. Ali said, I'm fine, but I don't accept to stick to the Sunnah. I will be making my own ijtihad. Unfortunately, this is the unfortunate point of view from Ali. I think it was a mistake. He should not. But again, you have a choice in Mubahat. From this, expecting that Uthman will not go for it, possibly under Rahman. Uthman said, yeah, and accept. So Rahman has no solution except to give bay'ah. That's the third day. Now it's had to give bay'ah to Uthman. And then Ali gave bay'ah, and everyone gave bay'ah. So I think the mistake here, obviously, Uthman is the major problem. He should have withdrawn. He's not qualified for this, and he cannot compete with Ali in any aspect of state leadership or military leadership or courage or anything. What we'll discuss in our book, inshallah, about who killed Uthman and so on. This fundamental mistake, and this mistake and the mistakes after that shows his weakness and haunted him until ultimately Bani Umayyah were able to take hold of him and get him to the abyss, almost to the abyss. Which the only hopefully the Shahada is being killed by them, it will save him from the negative repercussions. It's a major error, really, major mistake. Should not have gone there. We should take examples of the Hamza Auf and the others should be taken from Abu Ubaidah, Amr ibn Jarrah, all of these people who are excel in putting themselves for Islam rather than putting themselves forward. No, you can agree with Ali ijtihad or don't agree with Ali ijtihad. That's it. I would say Ali should have said yes, accept, and then I would consult with the Ummah, or they are the one who putting a condition. If I have another ijtihad, and that's what he did really when he became Khalifa later, like Abu Uthman. That's what he did. For example, there are many stories like that. For example, he consulted with some of his companions about the issue of selling the mothers of children. You have a concubine, you have a child from here, and he and Omar, both of them discussed the issue because the Arab in Jahiliyyah used to sell them. They don't care about that. And they were not aware about anything which seemed to be abrogating that. So they went about that, it's approved. Although no case like that in time will say has happened, no another case. So they thought it's approved, it's confirmed. There's no injunction. They missed the hadith about Maria, the mother of Muhammad, Ibrahim ibn Muhammad, alayhi that the Messiah says expressively, أعتقها ولدها. His son has set her free. So she cannot be sold and so on, but she does become a wife because the original production of child was in another type of wedlock, not in wedlock, but in bondswoman relation, which is defined by the Quran. But the moment the husband dies or passes away, immediately she becomes free, then completely free, cannot be sold, neither before nor after. Neither of them knew about this hadith, obviously, and they came with the ijtihad, good ijtihad, that they should not be sold. In Khilafah of Ali, somehow he reconsidered the matter again and doubted the issue. I'm just mentioning examples that you can change your ijtihad and there's no problem. So he doubted the issue, but he asked some of his companions. I agreed with Umar in his time, so and so on, to sell the mothers of children, the concubines. But I think now it is more stronger in my mind with the strict usuli, so following his own usul, that they can't be sold. So his companion told him, say, Amir al-Mu'minin, commander of the believers, your point together with Umar is better to closer to our heart, two confirming each other is better than one, which is not really a fundamental point, but it's a good something which tips the balance in one direction than your opinion alone. Because if this is opinion of two, it's better than opinion of one. We have no clear text there, allegedly, because also these two seem not aware about the hadith of Maria, the Coptic one. So Ali stopped, don't announce anything else. Kept it as in time of Umar. So he could do that at the same time. But obviously Ali became more mature with time, more mature. At the time, confident of self, and he has the right to be absolutely confident, know that he's the supreme judge of the Ummah by the witness of Messenger of Allah. He knows that. Then a little bit overconfidence in himself took over, and negligent of the fact that this is Ummah choosing that, let's go along with that. And then if there's any new ijtihad worthy, and there's no ijtihad of Abu Bakr and Umar, which is so bad that it has to be forsaken, and they say Sunnah of Abu Bakr or Umar, they disagree with the same things, then you have the choice at least. And they agreed almost everything, he agrees with them. It's nothing really they're great to be agreed or disagreed upon it. But somehow, anyway, Allah allowed it to happen because he wanted to test the Ummah. So we have this situation. After that, when Uthman was killed, they came to him to give bay'ah in his house. He refused, saying, I come to the masjid and everyone come to give bay'ah. And then after that, and also Zubair and Talha, who went in the campaign of Jamal, the Kurdish campaign, gave him bay'ah. Yeah, gave him bay'ah. And then he sent for asking for bay'ah from everywhere, not relying only on the people of Medina, although he believed, I think rightly so, that the real power of bay'ah at that time should be lying only with the Sabiqin Awalin and the people of Badr, and they are all in Medina, but still, he wanted to confirm for the rest of Ummah. Now the rest of Ummah should participate, because Sabiqin Awalin and Badriyin are slowly will be expired slowly and go. So what will be a system until the end of time? Everyone in the Ummah, including hypocrites, which are not proven to be hypocrites, but in a court of law, they participate. Nothing can be done about that. That's the fundamental ruling. But for that temporary phase, Medina should be enough. Anyway, he sent to all everywhere. And when his people sent to get the bay'ah of the people of Sham, the heads of the armies, etc., and the common public, etc., what happened? The armies of Muawiyah stopped them at the border of Sham. Will not allow you there. And with this, Muawiyah exited the Jama'ah. And also technically he broke the bay'ah to Ali. So he did not give bay'ah to Ali. It doesn't matter, because the majority of the Ummah outside Sham, or the majority, the absolute majority and more, gave bay'ah to Ali. So the bay'ah is binding, and the one who did not give, you don't say, because the issue of bay'ah is the following. You can't expect everyone to give bay'ah, because it's impossible. It never happened. Even the Messenger of Allah did not get the loyalty. The best he got just later in his life, but before that in Uhud, after the federation was established, after the Sahih was written, that was before Uhud, between the even in that, third of the army retreated without his command. It turned out to be Munafiq. So if you get a vote for 66, 70%, that's more than enough. The others are bound by that. They cannot say we did not give bay'ah. Are we retreated? No. The bay'ah is binding on your neck as long as you regard yourself as the Ummah. So the bay'ah for the majority is binding to everyone. Wait for the next election, or bring your case to in front of a court to say why this bay'ah is not binding to me. But there's no other way. Otherwise, the system will never work. No system in the world will ever work. But you have to think a bit rationally. So that's summary roughly as you may construct as much as you can from history. That some people say there was no choice like that, it's invented by there are many hadith. For example, one hadith Ibn Abbas said that he was discussing with Uthman about the issue of inheritance. He said, you know, this issue of Umar is not correct, which is Ibn Abbas is right. Uthman is not capable even to judge between Abu Bakr and Umar. Uthman said, you know which oath I gave to your people. They asked me to not to deviate from Abu Bakr Umar. I'm not going to deviate. Wait for someone else to do it. So it's clearly that there's such a covenant, and that's the reason he was given preference in election. And there are other few things, but this hadith of Ibn Abbas is completely independent from that one and confirm things, as I said. That was the offer, and Ali failed to accept it. He has the right to reject, but maybe he did not think deep about the repercussions, and shows also you should not be, in any case, overconfident, even if you are worthy of this. But overconfidence is not good. The injunction of the Ummah overrides everything. Overrides everything. And he should have seen many examples of the acts of Messenger of Allah. Like, for example, in the siege of Taif. The siege was messy and so on, and many people were injured, and the Messenger consulted with them. That's a tactical issue. The commander of an army doesn't need to ask about these things. He judges upon the situation. And then he asked them, see, how can we retreat? It's better to retreat. This is a place which is not important. Thaqif was never ever effective outside their walls. They hide behind their walls and lock the door. Let them look until they recognize that the world has changed, and they will come down sooner or later. They said, how can we go without conquering it? He said, okay, if that's your majority, let's go tomorrow. So they went next day. They suffered some losses and people were melted. Meanwhile, the Messenger of Allah asked one expert, say, Messenger of Allah, this fortification of Thaqif is like foxhole. If you persist and stay for a long time, you will take it. That's not a problem. It can be breached, but for a long time, and if you leave it, it will not harm you. What is inside is a fox. You just come sneak and come back. It's not a lion. You have to dispatch of it. You cannot turn you back to it. No. It's irrelevant. Thaqif was never fighting anywhere except behind their walls. So leave them. They will come down one day. Is it crucial? We have defeated Hawazin. We have got Quraysh. These are real powers. The real swords. These are nothing. They're just sneaky people. Fox inside the fortification, inside the hole. If you stay long enough, you can take it. So he told the people, told you. Again, should we go tomorrow? Say, no. We accept your advice. We go. So he's consulting even tactical issues. What's the wrong if you can't take a view? You accept, say, I accept. And if I have another point of view, you don't even to say it. If I have another point of view, I'll submit it to the people and discuss it. The same Ummah who's made that condition, they will be able to abrogate it inside the specific cases. But somehow, sometimes overconfidence takes the better out of you. He's definitely have the capability to be better than Abu Bakr and Umar in Massari Ijtihad. No doubt about that. Certainly not, but the Ummah decided otherwise, fine. What's the motivation? What did they say that? People want everything, and Abu Bakr and Umar was good, stable, success, victory is there. Essentially, Umar was killed 2 years before that, or 1 year before that. The Persian Empire essentially collapsed. It's not gone completely, still has to finish the Uthman, what's gone. And the Roman are expelled out of Sham. And there was no hope for them coming anytime soon. So everything is look stable. Good. Yemen is fine. Actually, Yemen is producing plenty of armies going to Iraq and Sham. Everything seems to be perfect. So we don't want experiment or something new. Everything seems to be good. So let's follow the same. If something comes forward, then a new ijtihad is needed. Call the Ummah. But generally, the public is generally complacent. They prefer, we don't want to rock the boat. Everything is fine. We don't want further improvement. Stick to that and establish it. And they have a point. That feeling is natural. So that's the best summary what the evidence of history we have. There was no procedure because the Messenger could not set a procedure, because any procedure, any technicality will be a handicap, because technicalities and procedure will change with time. The ruling is clear and qat'i. If you look at it carefully, the ruling is qat'i. The other things must be settled by shura. And even it's confirmed also by the Quran in the matter that Shura is mandatory, is that in the case of Uhud, some people after Uhud were mourning, especially Munafiqeen say, look, if you have followed our advice, we are the senior, the thinker of the people, the one who knows warfare, instead of following these young people, although they are majority, who do not know warfare, do not know how to manage the world, we would not have suffered that in Uhud. Allah negate that. First of all, show that's not the reason of the loss. The reason of the loss is the disobedience to the commander of the archer on top of the mountain. Not the reason of this following the shore. That's a possible point of view. Going out for the battle against Quraysh was a valid one, and it's a valid one. And the majority shows that, and they are winning. But some of them failed to comply with the command of the commander and protect the back of the army. That's the reason for the defeat. And Allah confirmed. And the messenger was very upset about their behavior, obviously. فاستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر. Ask forgiveness for them for this blatant sin, ugly sin, but وشاورهم في الأمر. So nobody will come to the idea, it is really consulting them led to that. No, it is not. And even if it has led to that, still you have to do shawar for them. Because the word cannot work otherwise. And besides, the matter was not revealed to him which way to go. It's left to him, to his choice as a commander, as a head of state, not for a prophet. No revelation came. So he has to do his best judgment according to the battlefield situation. And the consultation will hopefully bring the best point of view. That's it. And every side is having to be balanced with the other side also. The young man said, nobody should have an impression that we are afraid to meet Quraysh outside. We're very well capable of defeating them, inshallah, as we did in Badr. And they were capable. But some of them preferred dunya and wanted booty. Or we were on top of the mountain, unfortunately. The best archers, some of them turned out to be not immediate enough or not savvy enough to see the situation. And they got punished, got clobbered. That's it. That's the way to look to things. I don't think there's anything there which negates these fundamental principles of the Quran. No, and the issue of divine appointment is there's no evidence in the Quran Sunnah. Even the Messenger was divinely appointed as a messenger, is not divinely appointed as head of state. We see how the development happened. And Makkah was a leader of a party. That was not a state or state authority. No. They were prosecuted, they were under the thumb of Quraysh. Quraysh is the authority, a federation of nasty tribes, essentially. And some neutral, some hesitating, and so on. In Medina, he became the head of the state. So you see evidence. So he's not divinely appointed the head of the state, by the way. No. The people choose him as head of state. See this fact, and then you know the theory of divine appointment is just nonsensical.
So, Ustad, just to interrupt you, if I may.
Yeah.
Yes, Sayyid Ali Hur Kamunpuri, who we mentioned a few times, the Shia reformist brother. He's got great work. Inshallah, maybe we'll introduce him to you one day. He's got the exact same political view as yourself. He said even Rasulullah is not divinely appointed as a political authority. It's the people who have given him bay'ah. But I'm going to give you both a hypothetical scenario. If suppose the Muslims there, for example, the Muhajirin and the Ansar, elected another man as the Wali al-Amr instead of Rasulullah, would that not be an act of kufr or fisk at least? What do you think about that?
Yeah, but because there's no reason for remove him from power.
No, I'm saying in the first instance, let's say a group of Muslims chose to elect by their Shura Council another head of state instead of Rasulullah. So Rasulullah is still a spiritual leader for them, of course, but not the political Wali al-Amr. Would that hypothetically work in a scenario like this or not?
If they bring the argument that is weak, you be the messenger of Allah, you will be the leader, you will be the spiritual leader, and we have someone who better manage the affair than you, and the messenger of Allah accept that.
I see.
Yeah, that's it. This hypothetical question didn't happen, so we don't need to bother with that. Maybe we have when the Palestine were ruled by prophets, the prophets were not managing the day-to-day affair.
Exactly.
Yeah, for example, but that's all about it. But anyway, we have the example of the prophetess Deborah. This is a counter example. You say a woman cannot be head of state and so on. But then another issue altogether. And she waged war, but Barak was the leader of the army. And She ordered Barak, and Barak was executed. That's also a solution, but it's divinely instructed there. Here has not happened, and there's no there. And the question is completely speculative. It's irrelevant.
Ustad, also, excuse me for slightly changing the topic. If you don't want to talk about this, we can deal with it another time. But it's related to governance, so I think it's suitable. You know the matter of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam and him working under the Malik. This particular topic I haven't really been able to reconcile. Inshallah, can we talk about it one day? If
No,
not
no,
today.
there's nothing to be reconciled there. What's
So
the problem there?
The issue is this. The issue is the Hakimiyya ultimately belongs to Allah, and Allah does not share hukm of anyone, both in the Taqweeni sense and the Tashri'i sense. Now, the Malik, he's not ruling with the deen of Allah. And Nabi Yusuf himself proposed to work under the deen of Malik. How do we reconcile this with the Hakimiyya theory that we advocate and we still know?
He did not, wherever something related to the deen of Allah, he did not. When he made a trick for his brother to be taken, what did he say? What's the story? What Allah says in the Quran? ما كان يأخذ أخاه في دين الملك.
دين الملك. أحسنت.
But what happened really there? Allah said, كذلك كدنا ليوسف. We did the plot for Yusuf. No, he did not do the plot. We did the plot for him. Before all what he has ruling is in compliance to the deen of Allah as revealed to her, and it is in sync with the king's rule. So when he said, put me in charge of these, I have the full authority of these. It's a management affair, establishing how to collect things, how to put things. And many narrations of it, some of them are exaggerated, say that even when the time came to distribute food and so on to the people, he was rationing the food for the king's palace. He complained. He said, you have to suffer like all the people. Area, he has the full authority. And this is fine. If you have the full authority in a certain area, and there's no law, you are forced to enforce it against the law of Allah, then it's no problem. But this is not what the modern Muslim Islam said, joining, sharing power, because you are under a constitution which contains clearly kufr injunction. You have to comply with them.
And the constitution of these people is that they are nominally Muslim to such an extent that they claim they are ruling with the injunctions of Allah, but they're not. They're not complying with it.
Assume this, then next day you will face a situation, you need to resign. So I know I cannot accept unless this constitution, the article and so on is changed. But the whole constitutional system in a secular regime or under a king who believes he had the divine right will so it will not be anyway. If it's with the administration like Yusuf, which is collecting managing the harvest, etc., putting it in storage houses, on that's within the law of the king. Have no law in that area. Actually, it could say Yusuf is the legislator of that area, his full authority, and the king his hand is removed from that.
So I got a question in relation to this. This is where I was building up to. Suppose a hypothetical scenario where there are a lot of Muslims or a majority Muslim country, yet due to going back to Shura, the people decide to not rule the Quranic Islamic constitution. They want to rule whatever system they're ruling with. However, the system does not claim absolute sovereignty. Sorry. So to a certain extent, they would claim sovereignty in regards to making laws, but they don't believe they have a right to rule in the sense how is it, for example, a church where they say they have divinity or sovereignty or divine right to rule, for example.
It doesn't matter because if the ruling of Allah is clear at qat'i, deviate out of it unless you are attacking the divine sovereignty. You can play all games. There is no way. Like that is strictly prohibited. If the constitution does not comply with that and the administrator is basic punishment for it and make it and don't allow to issue it, then it is a constitution.
So no Muslim can work under that government, even though they're not compelled to rule with Kufri rulings.
The area which you are not giving the licenses and so on.
Say that again, sir.
You can work as an administrator in another area. You can work in the agricultural ministry.
Without being forced to rule with their rulings, right?
You refuse to do any contract with it. It's in the West, it's practically not possible because all of the Ministry of Agriculture, if any, then requires you to issue licenses for loans, things like that, and it will be usury loans. You say, no, I'm not going to use it.
Exactly.
They will tell you, please go exit to the door.
would just interject there, because sometimes people frame it as being part of a kufr system in a blanket term. It has to be quantified and defined. So what the doc is saying is that in a system whereby there is no clear overlap, overriding the Hukm Shara. In this instance, for example, in previous systems, they didn't have a detailed constitution or things like that. And so that's for what I mean is that, because sometimes people just say, "Oh, it's a kufr system, all of it." You're sweeping the streets. You're part of a
It's
kufr
a mistake.
system.
Let's say they don't know what's kufr system. They don't even know distinction between regulations in a law which are really administrative and other which are fundamental.
So we are arguing that under the Deen of the Malik, the Egyptian king, Yusuf alayhi salam had the liberty to rule and judge with what Allah has revealed. Is that correct, Ustad?
What do you mean had to deliberately?
I said Yusuf alayhi salam had the right he had the liberty.
They were even in the issue of collecting the harvest and so on. People were collecting at their liberty. There was no ruling from anybody. It was just a natural law.
I see.
Is there is an injunction of the king that so and such must be brought to the king's son, that he would say, I cannot administer that. You have to cancel all of these.
I see.
But we know when it came, he made the plot to keep his brother, and while putting his brothers in embarrassment with the other brother and so on. And he told him, I am your brother, don't worry, we will make a plot. The plot is going by claiming that he is a thief. That's
exactly
what's claimed. That's Allah allowed him to do that.
Exactly.
We done not from anybody, not from a ruler or non-ruler. It's the same crime. For ruler, it's bigger even.
Sure.
To what they call it, railroad or a plot against someone, citizens like that. That's more grave, but it's not permitted for you to do the same also.
Exactly.
So that's not an issue. It's an individual issue. Then when it came, what is the punishment? Now the trick is, he asked them, what is the ruling in your religion?
Yes. Oh, yes, I remember that. Yes.
That's the narration comes there. They told him, in our religion, if someone steals, then the punishment is he taken in for a certain time into slavery.
As a captive,
captivity. And they said the same way his brother was committed the theft in time past. That was a funny story, because the auntie of Yusuf was in love with him and his father was obsessed with him. She said, let him stay with me a few days, and a few days she said something is missing, and she claimed he stole it. Obviously, like a trick of an auntie or something, like more like a play.
Yes.
Forced it, and then insisted for Yaqub, apply the law to him. Give him, he stole my items, now give him to me for. Yaqub understood that she's playing a plot, but he has to apply the law. So he gave her, she stayed with her months and years, and then later on, possibly. And that's the reason saying, يَسْرِقْ وَالسَّرَقَ أَخُ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. So Yusuf controlled himself, say, أنتم شر المكان والله أعلم بما تصفون. You're even worse than him, and so on. But he controlled himself. They don't recognize him. If he erupted in anger, they would recognize, this is Yusuf. Now we're in trouble.
Yeah. And
then they said, okay, you're applying our law. We are now in a real trouble. What's supposed to do? Okay, take one in his place. This is not a law. Your law. How can we take someone who's not a guilty instead of a guilty one? There's no way. And this is an adult. It's not a baby. Finish.
Exactly.
And not shifted to the wali or something like that. And then when they gave up, they went, and then there was just trouble and say, what should we do? Tell our father. He will declare us to be absolutely liars. We are finished. And then continues. So I think that's the way they narrated is not correct. It's not correct.
Ustad, another point related to governance. If someone does an armed revolution with the consent of a group amongst the Muslim community, and they forcefully enter a domain larger than their original land, and then the people, they give bay'ah to him willingly, would that be legitimate or illegitimate?
No, because this one took the method, because the revolution is suppose the revolution is legitimate, and when they rebelled against him, must be removed. Now, group maybe in a certain area of or scattered in, and then they seclude themselves, whatever they manage it in reality, and they sacrificed themselves and succeeded in removing this tyrant.
Sure.
So they did the حكم شرعي that the Ummah should be. So they represented the Ummah in that, and then the people gave them bay'ah willingly, not by force.
So, okay.
Then it is valid on the Ummah. If the Ummah tells them, no, now you have did this, okay, we're negligent in time part, but does not doesn't transfer the authority to you. The authority is still in ourselves. We were negligent. Yes, we know we're negligent. You should have been fighting with you, but we're negligent or we're unable or whatever it is. The reality is the moment you have the power, you ask the people come for bay'ah or come for a new election. And usually you will get it because the people will breathe aside if you are really a legitimate rebellion.
I see.
That's
So,
the,
the initial point is that the people around you, within a particular community, who have shawka, when they consent to a man, then he will have legitimacy.
Based on that this entity is now, the majority agrees on that. Some of them took the matter in their hand legitimately against a tyrant and removed him by force, who was not removed by reasonable ways otherwise, and then the rest joined in approving that.
Sure. I see. Very nice. It's good to clarify these details to the public, inshallah, as well.
I think this is clear. There's not, these things are essential.
Yeah, the nitty-gritties that polemicists usually get interested in.
That's the reason the revolution, although the banner and the shi'ar used was the not correct shi'ar. That's the reason the Abbasi state was slightly better than the Umayyad state, but did not improve the situation of the Ummah because the call they put is a wrong call. So they weren't calling for shura, they're calling for the rida, the most acceptable.
Rida min Ali Muhammad.
Muhammad. That's it. Who is the rida for Al Muhammad? Who said it's only in Al Muhammad? Why not a rida from Al Genghis Khan?
Yeah.
If he's a believer and a good leader, Imam. That's a calling for shura. Zubair, Abdullah ibn Zubair called for shura because he cannot present himself. He's keen for the power. He's not fighting for the Ummah. He's had for his own disease, which moved his father and his Talha to their demise almost, and his own demise almost in Jamal.
Exactly.
That discussion. So they took that shi'ar. The people think the Rida of Al Muhammad is a good choice, or whatever the people thought, or they don't have enough education about the meaning of shura deep enough in their heart, and they removed the Umayyad by power and took bay'ah from the rest.
Yeah, the only community from the early periods that championed shura properly, from what I've seen, were the early Ibadis. Like they were the main group emphasizing on the importance of shura.
Yeah.
Even the Zaydis, even though I love the Zaydi school in terms of being revolutionary, they failed when it came to shura. Ma'alasaf.
Because it is the one Al Muhammad who comes out with the sword. This is the specification which is even worse than the other. No, but that happened to the Abbasi. Then when they came, they obviously betrayed their own origin because they gave a year before. I think some people dug history a little through because they were the movement was run by some people from Muhammad al-Hanafiya, because it was established by Abu Hashim, Abdullah al-Hanafiya.
Yes.
And the title Rida al-Muhammad al-Muhammad is either al-Hanafiya or something, because al-Muhammad includes also Ali ibn Abi Talib. Al-Muhammad al-Hanafiya is descent. Later on, the Shia made it must be from Fatima also.
Yes, they made Bani Fatima the exactly. They used Hadith al-Thaqalain and textual arguments to justify their claims, but it was all flimsy and weak arguments.
Al-Muhammad would if it's besides his wife, so definitely from the Al, that's according to Surah Al-Ahzab. The other one include the Bani Hashim and Bani
Muttalib as well.
That's the only other specification. So this is invention from the imagination.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to go these fine points. Anyway, any acceptable Muslim shura accept from Al-Muhammad or otherwise. But that's a shi'ar which rallied enough people for fight. That they are legitimate to rebel against Bani Umayyah, definitely. This is a satanic regime, which if it had persisted, it is Islam from the dunya. Clearly.
Exactly.
Look thoroughly behind the fabrications of the people of Sham and also the complacency of many so-called people of Al-Hadith. It would have erased Islam from them. But Allah is protecting the dhikr. And of course that now, when they came, the Abbasi, they are not the Rida from Al-Had. The Rida is from the closer would be from Also,
Hassan or Hussein, Beni Fatima.
or a closer, because Hassan Hussein did not participate. They were essentially, it was cut. It was subdued. What is remaining is Muhammad al-Hanafiya is the one who taking the banner.
Mm.
The underground movement was done by Abu Hashim, his son.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's the one who doing the rebellion. So,
Mm.
and they gave the two Abbas, al-Safah and Abu Ja'far Mansur, a year before they were in Hajj, or 2 years before it erupted clearly. And they gave bay'ah to the grandson of Muhammad al-Hanafiya. I don't think that has to be scrutinized historically.
Well, yeah, I remember what was his name as well now. I forgot. That's true, yes.
Then after that, that's the reason Muhammad Nafs Zakiyya rebelled after that.
Yeah.
They broke their covenant. So they took bay'ah originally legitimately, but then they betrayed. They didn't tell the people, we take bay'ah in behalf of Fulan and present Fulan. They were greedy and keeping the power for themselves. That's it.
It's not very important, but out of curiosity, do you believe Muhammad Nafs Zakiyya's revolution was legitimate, Shar'an? From what you researched so far.
Possibly. I didn't research. I didn't bother about that anymore.
Yeah.
Because the moment it's Al Muhammad or Al so and so on, there's a problem there.
Yeah. But to be honest, I believe, this is my theory, right or wrong doesn't really matter much because it's a nitty-gritty issue. But those who are interested, I'll just mention a side point, Ustad. You can agree or disagree. I think the initial revolutions of Ali Muhammad, they started based on precedence. You know, for example, Abu Bakr said the Imams are from Quraysh. Based on precedence, they believed that they had more of a precedence, not a divine right, but more of a priority due to their closeness to the Prophet, etc. But then this later on got exaggerated to be a divine right to rule, similar to what Bani Israel did. And it became blunderous. It became a disaster.
By the way, read the Saqifa once more. Abu Bakr did not argue about that Imam from Quraysh or this Hadith Nabawi. He argued the Arab will not accept the leadership at the moment because this is the leading tribe and the leading party.
Actually, I was reading of that passage yesterday. That part you mentioned just now. I was reading that part yesterday. The emphasis was regarding the fada'il of Abu Bakr rather than him being Qurayshi or whatever. Yeah, but it was
that's but that he was arguing. They say it is the Amatal is only for the Ansar. So, if you want to lead the Arabs and the Islamists come to lead everyone in the world, then the first stage to lead the Arab properly, you will the Arab rallied behind the Ansar. You say, why the Ansar? Why not ourselves? We are more worthy. Which history the Ansar have in time past? Nothing. There are few farmers and business people there, never would engage in any war for anybody else.
It's very sad though how the Ansar got divorced from politics after that.
Because I think partly because the blunder of Sa'd bin Ubadah, and partly with other things because they have no history of any negativity, and they are like Ali ibn Abi Talib. They were the one who really broke the heads of Bani Umayyah and the tyrants of Quraysh. So
exactly,
Munafiqeen hated them.
Yeah,
no who themselves say hub except hub Ali iman بغضه نفاق. Because of this reason,
same reason as the Ansar. Yeah. So the Ansar and Ali were close because of that as well, to a large extent.
They didn't say حب فلان بغضه إيمان كفر, except the Ansar.
Yeah, exactly.
No reason for them to hate for any tribal history.
Yeah.
Any war or negative anything on them. People here, they load with dates and so on. Have not change and continue. No,
exactly.
Never interdicted anywhere in the way. We're never hostile to anybody. We're very peaceful people in Jahiliyyah. So nobody will hate them for any reason except supporting them. So the one hating them must be because of kufr and iman.
Yeah, exactly.
So but these all branching points would get us nowhere. It's fundamental, so stick the fundamental issue of Shura and what had been said in Saqifa and refuting all the other claims.
Yeah.
And the hadith of Al-Imam Quraysh, so far, because of this condition, and the hadith clearly saying Quraysh will violate that and they will be skinned out like I'm skinning this, and he had a stick in his hand and with a knife he skinned it. They will be like this. They will be skinned. Yeah. They will be finished. They will be gone. And it will happen. And it happened.
And it happens. Yeah.
It happened in that. So this is just a khabar that the Imam will be from Quraysh until they are skinned away. Are they more Muslim? No, but they are legitimate Imams if they comply with the condition of Imamah.
Ustad, the hadith of even if there were two men left, one of them will be from Quraysh. is that one fabricated or is that Sahih Sanadan?
Which one?
If the matter was left to two people, how was the hadith?
Fabrication. And the Quraysh has
The famous one, yeah, the famous one.
probably wiser than anybody else. This is all talks of Jahiliyyah, that Quraysh is a superior tribe, they are intelligent and so on.
Yeah.
They're qualified, they look better than other tribes. Yeah, no, but
Oh yeah, I remember the hadith. If
No,
this matter was left to two people, one of them would be from Quraysh, something like that.
no, this is fabricated.
This is fabricated, yeah?
The further fabrication of Muawiyah's hadith.
I
When
thought so because Muawiyah was championing Qurayshi supremacy. Yeah.
No, not supremacy. Just that's anyone dispute with them, Allah will
Yeah.
put his face in the hellfire. It's really fabrication, no doubt. And it's one of his fabrication, which has to be.
So okay, I've never investigated the sanad of that, so there's definitely defects in that. Yes.
Which one?
The one I just mentioned. If this matter was left to two people, one of
Yeah.
them would be from Quraysh.
A single chain from Abdullah ibn Umar, never and through a man who was living in Syria, second generation, grandson, and so on. And this
Yes.
one, just like they claim is thiqa. No, this hadith show he's going to be thiqa.
Yep.
In fact,
That's
it's
it.
very clear. That's the
Yeah,
hadith.
yeah.
But لم فعلا into أن أمر في قريش لا يوعى ما بقى في الناس اثنان.
Yes.
And refuting all the other hadith. No, this is very clearly fabrication.
Yes.
Muawiyah is clearly fabricated because Muawiyah is the liar there. He's fabricating it. That's clear. The moment you cross out Muawiyah and prove that he's a fabricator and liar and munafiq kafir, is out. All of this clarifies. All of this fabrication after Muawiyah and so on.
Yes.
Then you see how it comes. Like the hadith, which these poor people from India and Pakistan read it from this pre-written khutbah. Allah في أصحابي لا تقدموا أرضا بعدي فمن أحبهم بحبي أحبهم.
Yeah.
Ibn Hibban put it in the Sahih because he believed in the Isnad, the one before the Sahabi, is a man called Abdurrahman ibn Ziyad. That's all the Isnad we share. Ibn Hibban. But when we go back, and he said there are very Abdurrahman ibn Ziyad there is the one who is reliable and thick also. When we check the Isnad in Ibn Asakir,
Yeah.
bad luck for Ibn Hibban and for those lover of this fabricated hadith is that it says Abdurrahman ibn Ziyad ibn Ubayd. Who is this Abdurrahman ibn Ziyad? Can you give me a guess?
Abdurrahman ibn Ziyad ibn Ubayd.
Ziyad ibn Ubayd or Ziyad ibn Abi or
Ziyad bin Abi, no? Is he not related to him?
He is
Yes.
his name is Ziyad bin Ubayd.
Mm.
He is born on the wedlock of Ubayd.
Aha, yes.
He agreed with Muawiyah to denounce his father and so on. With
Ziyad bin Abi Sufyan.
ibn Sufyan ibn Sumayy ibn Abi ibn Ubayd,
Yes.
correct name.
Yes.
His own admission.
Mm-hmm.
But he was on admission because he complained. I have a Sahih Isnad. I have in my paper, so it will come inshallah. I will in the next edition of few things. It will be added.
Inshallah.
He went to Abu Bakr and another man who was present and narrated that. He said, "Don't you wonder, Muawiyah? He's putting me under pressure to accept to be to amend my genealogy to Abu Sufyan. But I am the son of Ubayd. I am born on the firash, on the bed, wedlock bed of Ubayd. You look similar to him. Look at my face." He
Yeah.
said, and
He's
that's
definitely the father.
rise next year that he come and he adopted to be Ziyad ibn Abi Sufyan, which is an act of kufr.
Definitely.
Who denies his father knowingly is a kafir.
And it's tashri' as well. You're playing with the law of Allah.
And Muawiyah is also doing that. And he didn't
Yeah.
anybody, even Bani Umayyah was rebellion against that. And
Oh,
here,
really? The Umayyads were upset with this tactical move of Muawiyah, yes?
conferences, people going back and forth, they don't happen so easily.
I can imagine, because the Arabs were very big on this.
Yeah, how come that this one is?
Who's this bastard who's becoming Amawi? Why are you doing this? Yeah, I can imagine the talk. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, plenty. Just face that issue.
Yeah.
And how this has happened. No, this is that made the Hawis luckily become better.
But do you see how cunning Muawiyah is, Ustad? He's willing to even go through that extent just to win. Just to win.
I spent 10 days on that. Leave Muawiyah until we complete our work on him. Khair, inshallah.
Okay. Quick couple of quick ones. One is your Thursday broadcasts, are they pre-recorded?
What?
You know your Thursday Arabic broadcasts?
No, they are not there live.
They're live, but what I mean is that when they go out, are they sent out on, because they go out on a Friday, as in like.
No, on Friday now. No, this is new.
Oh, I see. So you moved from Thursday to Friday now.
Yeah, we moved it.
Okay.
Week and this week. On emergency, sometimes there was to move to Friday. It's always
Thursdays, are you mostly free now, Ustad, or are you still busy with other things?
I have the research group.
Oh, your research group. Yes.
Saturdays, Saturdays are still viable.
We'll see like what we do on Saturday. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we'll just whatever. Just contact me and I'll arrange it.
That's fine.
Okay. Next quick one. You know the name of that. So previously, Salman al-Awda, his son Abdullah al-Awda, he's part of a group, his Tajamma al-Watani. Previously, you mentioned about it having backings with CIA. Somebody's asking, its founders are. So let me just read it out, because this guy's really persistent. I'm not joking. It's like, because that video was done years ago and then it's re-uploaded and it's just ongoing. The guy's not gonna go quiet. Anyway, he goes, its founders include 7 religious dissidents, a religious scholar called Said bin Nasser, and there was no link that is no evidence. You've given no evidence that is linked to CIA.
No, if Said bin Nasser belonged to them, then he's linked to CIA. He has to announce them publicly. Did he? I don't know. I don't care who. But a party as a party with these leaders and so on, they are known. And the relation meeting with the CIA and so on with the Foreign Office of America is known by their own admission. Yeah.
Okay. So to the guy who's asked this, can you take this as a response, or you can join the Arabic broadcast and ask yourself, man, dude, I'm done. Every other week I get questions like this.
Hashim, Sultan Abdali is very familiar with them, and he's recording their things, and I think he has even their own records and their own documentation. I didn't bother about them from the day one.
Does Sultan Abdali have his own show?
Yeah, this is our Thursday one and Friday now.
Okay. Giza, I'm going to say this directly. Can you stop asking on our session? Yeah?
Let him ask.
Been given.
Get
in touch with Sultan Abdali, anyone other than this. I'm not involved in the Arabic stuff. I can't decipher it. I'm not involved. I'm not going to get involved. And I keep getting spammed by this guy, either over WhatsApp or over the channel.
Maybe he doesn't know where to go.
No, Sheikh, I'm not joking. This guy has joined, and it's just never ending.
After that comes, then we know he has bad intention. It's
not bad intentions. It's just some people, I don't know, they're on the spectrum somewhere.
Don't worry. We've told him now all details. He can go there. Yeah, in Arabic. Ask in Arabic. The Arabic speaker.
Cool. Okay. Should we do the paladins? One other question, but don't worry, we can arrange that for next week, inshallah. I'm gonna get off camera and stop the stream.